Chapter 2869. Invitation. At first, I thought you were an ordinary true god. However, when I appeared, your reaction was very calm and you spoke as if you were on the same level as me. Therefore, I thought that your strength is not weaker than mine. I'm afraid that you're hiding your cultivation with a cultivation technique. Moreover, you should be a sect leader. The middle-aged man laughed and threw out a brocade bag. Lin Ling took it and found that there were many mysterious light herbs inside. It must be the reward. Okay, but I have a condition. If you get the treasures of the Dragon Scale Mystery Realm, I want one of them. Deal. The two of them nodded. Lin Ling still had a month before he could leave. Since he had nothing to do, he might as well go and take a look. His strength had increased greatly and he was not afraid of ordinary early-stage martial immortals. Moreover, he wanted to see how powerful an expert who had 20% of the power of the universe was. For some older martial artists, if their talent was not strong, they had to rely on the ultimate martial path. The ultimate martial path was the power of the universe. Can I see your appearance? The middle-aged man said again. Without waiting for Lin Ling's reply, he flicked his finger and a powerful boundary essence shot towards Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling did not move. The tyrannical song sword behind him shot out on its own and formed a sword array to block the realm essence. Then you can do it yourself. The middle-aged man was slightly surprised. He had given the mysterious light herbs as a reward, so he definitely would not give it for free. Therefore, he had tested him before. Although he had only used 30% of his strength, the other party had blocked it calmly. Obviously, he had used 30% of his strength. This meant that he had guessed correctly. The other party was not much weaker than him. His reward was not given for free. In fact, he did not know that Lin Ling had only used 10% of his strength. I'm still used to taking off my cloak. Lin Ling also knew the other party's intention. He could understand. He took off his cloak and revealed his handsome face. You're so young. Seeing this, the middle-aged man opened his mouth wide and his face was filled with disbelief. He thought that Lin Ling was also an old monster, but who knew that he was a disciple? Could it be that I'm not qualified to join? Lin Ling smiled. Enough. Enough. The middle-aged man hurriedly nodded. He was still in shock. He had never seen such a young expert before. In fact, he was also a sect master with 1 million disciples. His sect also had countless geniuses, but a monstrous disciple like Lin Ling could be said to be non-existent. However, no matter how young this young man was, his strength had clearly reached the standard and could help them. Then let's go. This guy behind you? It's just a dog. It won't get in the way. The two of them immediately moved forward. Of course, on the way, the middle-aged man also introduced himself. His name was Tianhuzhenren, and he was the head of a sect with more than 1 million disciples. Lin Ling also introduced himself. His attitude towards Tianhuzhenren was neither haughty nor humble, which surprised the latter. He found that Lin Ling's attitude towards him was very calm, even as if he was a lord. How could he know that Lin Ling came from the west of the Crimson State? Even the sect master on his side was scared by him. A moment later, the two of them arrived at a red valley. The ground here was also like scales, but the color was red. Walking on the ground was like walking on the body of a giant dragon. The red schists were the scales. Sect master. Voices quickly sounded. Looking around, the valley was full of people sitting in rows. They were all Tianhuzhenren's disciples. Hurry up and greet Senior Lin. Tianhuzhenren said sternly, making everyone salute Lin Ling. Tianhuzhenren looked at Lin Ling and said, by the way, we have a total of 5 sects in the alliance. They have also gone to look for experts. They should be back by now. As he spoke, there was a whistling sound in the distance. A fierce tiger was galloping in the sky. Then, several figures jumped down from the tiger and walked towards the valley. The 4 people in the lead were wearing the robes of the sect masters. They were not young. Behind them were 6 people with extraordinary auras. One of them even had the aura of a venerable emperor. They were all experts in the martial immortal realm. They were as ethereal as immortals, as if they had cultivated for countless years. These are the disciples of your sect? Among the 6 people, an old man spoke. He was a senior in the 3rd level of the martial immortal realm. He was extremely powerful. The other 4 sect masters immediately smiled and explained. It could be seen that the 6 people were invited by them. Tianhu Zhenren also walked over with Lin Ling. He introduced them to Lin Ling. These are the seniors of the Crimson State. You can't underestimate them. This is the Sky Fantasy old man. He introduced them one by one. Lin Ling nodded slightly. He did not salute or say anything. On the contrary, the 6 people stared at Lin Ling with a strange expression. The old man in the lead frowned and said, "So young? You asked him to help. Do you want to kill him? His cultivation time is only at the level of your disciple." This old man had some skill. He actually saw through Lin Ling's age. He's not even a martial immortal realm expert. You must be joking. The other people also frowned. Their words shocked Tianhu Zhenren's disciples. They did not expect that the expert invited by the sect master was the same age as them. Tianhu Zhenren was a little embarrassed. The other 4 sect masters also looked at him suspiciously. They did not understand why he invited Lin Ling. It seems that you don't know who your opponent is. They invited the 7 Stars Emperor in daytime. He's a big shot in the Crimson State. He's from the Heavenly Court and controls 20% of the power of the universe. He has few opponents in the 3rd level of the martial immortal realm. It's said that he has defeated experts with desolate body before. The power of the universe is the ultimate power. It's born in the universe. It's even more terrifying than the power of the universe. The old man said with a frown. He was not the master, so he did not drive Lin Ling away. He was just saying that Lin Ling could not help at all. Under Lin Ling's cloak, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. This old man was giving him pointers? In terms of the power of the universe, although Li Xiaoyao was not number 1 in the past, he was definitely more familiar with it than them. He did not explain. He would slowly watch these seniors put on an act. Watch carefully. The old man stretched out one hand and pointed to the sky. A strong light shot into the sky, as if the aura of the ancient era had erupted. Immediately, cracks appeared in the sky. One must know that this was the void of the universe, the 9 dragons and 18 ravines. The old man was able to break through the void. From this, one could see that the power of the universe was indeed amazing. Rumble. The sky rumbled incessantly as cracks spread out like glass. Seeing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The power of the universe was the foundation of martial artists. Moreover, it was not weak and could destroy 10,000 worlds. However, the laws of the universe did not fear the power of the universe. For example, in the Crimson State, no matter how strong a martial artist was, he could not break this huge world. This was the weakness of the universe. However, the power of the universe could. When the powerful 9 states was attacked by the power of the universe, it would also undergo a tremendous change. Chapter 2870. Dragon Scale Secret Realm. Most of you here have 10% of the power of the universe, but that 7 Stars Emperor of the Heavenly Court has 10% more power of the universe than you. Don't underestimate this 10%. If your talent is not as good as his, he can easily kill you. Old man. That old man said again, causing Daoist Tianhu and the others to break out in cold sweat. Even in the same realm, there are strong and weak. A powerful martial immortal is like an immortal to them. Thank you, Sky Fantasy old man. Old man. Daoist Tianhu quickly said and bowed. I've received your payment, so I'll naturally do it beautifully. I want to see how powerful that 7 stars Emperor of the Day is. That old man puffed out his chest and said indifferently. His words were full of confidence, making Daoist Tianhu and the other sect leaders very happy. On the other hand, Lin Ling shook his head. The old man probably possessed 20% of universal force, so he was confident that he wasn't inferior to the 7-star Emperor in daylight. However, if the 7-star Emperor in daylight possessed greater natural talent or possessed a higher cultivation, then the Sky Fantasy Elder might not be a match for him. Of course, Lin Ling did not express his opinion and waited quietly. Without a doubt, those experts were treated as distinguished guests by the various sections. The various sect leaders were extremely polite to them. They even caught spirit beasts from far away and roasted them personally for them to eat. After some wine and meat, those experts finally stood up. Seeing this, the various sect leaders were happy, knowing that these experts are going to move out. Is he going to? It's not that my words are unpleasant, but it's really useless for him to follow. He can't even block one attack from others. Sky Fantasy Old Man looked at Lin Ling and said. Daoist Tianhu shook his head helplessly. Lin Ling was invited by him. Although he can't help much, at least he can help. Lin Ling also said, I've accepted Daoist Tianhu's mysterious light grass. It's reasonable for me to do what he entrusted me. As for the 7 stars Emperor of the Day, I think it's just that. Old man. After saying that, he took the lead and moved forward. Those experts were all stunned. Even Daoist Tianhu and the other sect leaders were stunned. This Lin Ling is too arrogant. Nonsense. Old man Tian Huan was stunned for a moment before he became angry. Senior Sky Phantasm, don't mind it. Tianhu's spiritual master hurriedly tried to smooth things over, but he smiled bitterly in his heart. Hearing his words, the illusionary Sky Elder coldly snorted. After all, he was an invited guest, so even if he was angry, he had no right to drive Lin Ling away. Soon, everyone was on their way. Let your sect's disciples go together. Although they won't be of much help, at least they can help. The illusion old man suddenly said. This is too dangerous. With a martial immortal expert attacking, if they are careless, many of them will be killed. Spiritual Master Tianhu and the other sect leaders did not agree with this proposal. Have you all forgotten who is here this time? With me here, they will be safe and sound. The Sky Fantasy Old Man said. Sect leader, let's go together. Hearing the Sky Fantasy Old Man's confident words, all the sect's disciples shouted and finally, Spiritual Master Tianhu and the other sect leaders nodded. On the ancient red stone land, a long line of people was moving forward majestically. Lin Ling was also in the line. His face under the cloak revealed a smile as he slowly appreciated the unique scenery of the 9 dragons and 18 ravines. Senior Lin Ling, have you fought with a martial immortal expert before? On the way, Spiritual Master Tianhu's disciples were very respectful to Lin Ling. Although Lin Ling was not as strong as the Sky Fantasy Old Man, since he was invited by the sect leaders, his strength must be above them. Of course I have fought with them. Lin Ling nodded. Wow, powerful. Martial immortal, that is a martial immortal. Senior Lin Ling, where did you come from? Have you defeated a martial immortal expert before? Hearing this, the disciples' interest was greatly raised. That depends on the level of martial immortal. If it is early stage, 90% of them are not my opponents. Lin Ling explained with a smile. It can't be, Senior is a true immortal expert. This time, the disciples were even more surprised. They knew that there were many geniuses in the land of the 9 prefectures. Some geniuses were extremely powerful when it came to challenging people of a higher realm. Therefore, they knew that Lin Ling was a genius. However, Lin Ling's ability to challenge people of a higher realm was too high. They found it hard to believe. In fact, since they were able to come to the Crimson Province, they were naturally geniuses. However, they also knew that compared to a mysterious genius like Lin Ling, they could not compare to him. deceiving people with lies. As if he heard Lin Ling's words, the sky fantasy old man disdainfully snorted and his face became very serious. Hearing this, the disciples did not dare to speak. Lin Ling smiled and did not refute the sky fantasy old man. This sky fantasy old man is very strict. He is strong, of course he has the qualifications. Yes, but I still think that Senior Lin Ling is easier to talk to. After the sky fantasy old man left, the disciples dared to talk among themselves. After traveling for an entire day, they finally arrived at their destination. In front of them was a tranquil ancient lake. It was as vast as the sea and as clear as a mirror. In the middle of the ancient lake, a natural dragon head formed by rocks appeared. The dragon opened its mouth wide, revealing a black expanse, as if it was connected to another world. Strands of mysterious aura also spread out from it. Dragon scale artifact. Seeing this, the group stopped and looked at the dragon head in the ancient lake in surprise. They had heard of the legend that there were dragon scale artifacts in the 18 grooves of the 9 dragons, and there were more than one. It was said that they were formed from dragon tendons, and there were countless treasures inside. The 18 grooves of the 9 dragons, I heard that it was the incarnation of several ancient dragons. The dragon scale artifacts should be some of the dragon's key parts, such as the dragon's claws and eyes. Lin Ling said secretly. Sky fantasy old man, this is the dragon scale artifact we found, but the twin dragons union did not follow the rules and took it for themselves. Daoist Tianhu and the other sect masters also said. Don't worry, we are here today. The sky fantasy old man and the other experts said indifferently at this moment. With the giants of Mount Tai and Northern Dipper, this matter will definitely be resolved. Hearing this, Daoist Tianhu and the others felt relieved. The sky fantasy old man squinted his eyes and said, Your sects have old conflicts, this time I will also resolve it for you. After I defeat the 7 Stars Emperor, your sects will move out and surround them. Don't let them escape, I will personally destroy their sects. However, there is water in this place. There is an ancient saying that water is good at flowing. It will be difficult to catch them all in one net. The sky fantasy old man's words undoubtedly made Daoist Tianhu and the others happy because their goal was to defeat the opponent's experts. Who knew that the sky fantasy old man was confident that he could destroy the opponent's sect? I will go and invite them. Soon, Daoist Tianhu led his disciples and floated towards the ancient lake. Old man Dian, we are here. Chapter 2871. Defeat. Swish. 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 After the sound, the surroundings of the ancient lake began to wriggle. Soon after, many figures shot out. There were many of them. It could be seen that they had been guarding this place the entire time. Daoist Tianhu. An old man wearing a bagua robe was also angrily staring at Daoist Tianhu. There were also several sect leaders beside him. All of them looked ready to fight. This was obviously the sect of the Twin Dragon Society. Don't be impatient. The dragon scale secret treasure is about to open. These useless people can't do anything. At that moment, a middle-aged man wearing a 7-star emperor robe walked out step by step. As he walked, invisible ripples spread out, making him seem like the universe, like the chaos, like a god that was born when the world was created. This was the 7-star emperor in daytime. This was an ancient person from the Crimson Province. He had traveled in the 9 provinces and was a powerful member of the Heavenly Court. Seeing that, the faces of Daoist Tianhu and the others became serious. They were all martial immortals, but the latter gave them a lot of pressure, as if the sky was above their heads. You're called Daoist Tianhu, right? I'll give you a chance. Take your disciples and get lost immediately. The 7-star emperor in daytime said indifferently. His tone was calm, but it was like the might of the heavens, causing Daoist Tianhu to be secretly shocked. However, when they thought of the experts they had invited, they became more confident, 7-star Emperor in daytime, our sect has no enmity with you. Why must you oppose us? Sowing discord is useless against me. You don't need to do so. Today, I'll definitely help the Twin Dragon Society. The middle-aged man replied. It seems that you've walked the same path to the end. Don't think that you can dominate everything with 20% of the power of the universe. Let me tell you, we found this dragon scale secret treasure first. So, we will definitely not leave. Daoist Tianhu also knew that a great battle was unavoidable. So, he did not hold back. It seems that you know my strength. But so what if you know? The power of the universe is more difficult than the power of the primal chaos. You won't be able to touch 20% of the power of the universe in your entire life. Now, are you all planning to die? That middle-aged man laughed insolently, making the ancient lake's waves soar into the sky, rumbling loudly. Don't think that you're the only one with 20% of the power of the universe. Reverend Tianhu snorted coldly. After he finished speaking, he turned around and saluted, Seniors, please. True Monarch Lightleaf, go test him out. Next to the ancient lake, the Sky Illusion Elder also spoke. However, his expression was a bit serious because he found out that the 7-star Emperor in white was a bit stronger than expected. Beside him, a middle-aged man immediately disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already above the ancient lake. This was the speed of 10 realms. The crowd was in an uproar. This speed was too fast. Second level of the martial immortal realm? Are you here to die? The 7-star Emperor looked at the newcomer with disdain, shook his head, and said, I'm not interested in listening to you introduce yourself. If you want to take back the dragon scale artifact, then let's start. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged man on the other side flew into a rage. He was a well-known figure in the Crimson Province, but the other party didn't take him seriously at all. Xianyun Shao. He knew that ordinary methods were useless against the 7-star Emperor in daytime, so he directly unleashed his ultimate technique. An enormous amount of boundary essence energy, in addition to a middle-grade 6 boundary essence martial art, was unleashed in a mighty manner. A long shao pierced through the heavens and earth. That terrifying power could kill any first-level martial immortal. Moreover, any technique of the true immortal realm was destroyed by the shao. Rizhao Star. However, the 7-star Emperor in daytime flicked his finger, and a white meteor shot out. It rolled and collided with the long shao. Puff! In an instant, the middle-aged man spat out blood. His opponent's boundary essence was too enormous. As soon as he spat out blood, the hot meteor shot over. At first, it was only the size of a firefly, but when it reached him, it became the size of a small mountain. Sky Illusion Elder, save me! The middle-aged man let out an anxious cry. However, it was too late. That meteor directly catalyzed him, turning him into nothingness. A martial immortal realm expert died so easily. It made people feel that it was unreal. After all, such a person in the 10,000 realms, or even in the Azure province, was a person of virtue and prestige. You killed him. The Sky Illusion Elder immediately roared. Trash like him, what's the use of not dying? Now it's your turn, Sky Illusion Elder. The 7-star Emperor in daytime said indifferently. He obviously knew the Sky Illusion Elder, but he did not put him in his eyes at all. Sky Illusion Elder, it's up to you. Yes. Daoist Tianhu and the others became nervous. The middle-aged man was slightly stronger than them, but he could not block a single attack. So, if the Sky Illusion Elder was defeated, all of them would die. Daoist Tianhu, just wait for your sect to be destroyed. Yes. In the distance, the people of the Twin Dragon Society were shouting proudly. Today, they could also destroy Daoist Tianhu's sect. At that moment, the Sky Illusion Elder finally floated out. However, his expression was extremely serious because he did not expect that the middle-aged man could not block a single attack. After all, if it was him, he would not be defeated in less than 20 attacks. I'll try my best. Yes. Daoist Tianhu and the others felt that something was wrong because the Sky Illusion Elder's words did not seem to be very confident. I'm the Sky Illusion Elder. Yes. After coming out, the Sky Illusion Elder spoke first. You don't need to introduce yourself, I'm not interested in trash like you. However, the 7-star Emperor in daytime stretched out his finger and said while shaking it. You're going too far. Haha. The Sky Illusion Elder has been practicing martial arts for 50,000 years. He is a person of virtue and prestige. When has he ever been looked down upon like this? He instantly became furious. Boom. 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 The two experts crazily collided. With speed exceeding 10 realms, they engulfed the ancient lake. The water of the ancient lake continuously evaporated and gradually disappeared. Finally, a huge dragon head appeared in the lake. If one looked carefully, it turned out that there was a dragon body in the place that was submerged by the water. Of course, no one cared about the dragon body now. Their gazes were fixed on the fierce battle in the sky. Those two experts both possessed 20% of universal power. Moreover, their cultivation was the same. No one knew who would win in the end. They're both early martial immortals, but their strength is much stronger than ours. Daoist Tianhu and the other sect heads' faces were very pale. The attack power of 20% of universal power was simply beyond their imagination. Boom! After an unknown amount of time, an explosion suddenly sounded. Then, a figure flew out from the ancient lake. Looking at the sky above the ancient lake, the white robe fluttered in the wind. That person retreated more than 10 steps. However, he was still floating above the ancient lake. It's over. Everyone was greatly alarmed. They looked at the person beside the ancient lake and discovered that it was the Sky Illusion Elder. Obviously, the Sky Illusion Elder was defeated. How could this be? Daoist Tianhu and the others' faces instantly turned ashen. Like me, you possess 20% of universal power. However, your talent is a grade 8 divine body. The Sky Illusion Elder stared at the sky. After saying those words, he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 2872. Flames appear, heaven and earth change. You think you're my opponent? That 7-star Emperor's face was somewhat pale. Obviously, it was a narrow victory. After all, Sky Illusion Old Man was not a pushover. My talent can increase my realm essence by a huge amount. This is the reason why you lost. Now, what else do you have to say? 7-star Emperor walked over step by step. His aura was domineering and majestic as if he was looking down on the world. Sky Illusion Old Man, please. Seeing this, Daoist Tianhu and the others shouted anxiously. However, in their eyes, the old man smiled bitterly, spat out blood again, and sat down cross-legged. This made Daoist Tianhu and the others' faces dim because they knew that Sky Illusion Old Man had lost the power to fight. Senior 7-star Emperor, can you use treasures to exchange for our lives? Raising their heads again, several sect masters looked at 7-star Emperor and asked. You think I'm lacking treasures? 7-star Emperor said contemptuously. With life and death approaching, Daoist Tianhu and the others would definitely not give up the chance to live. He said again, then I wonder what Senior needs. Whatever the Twin Dragons Guild can give, we can give. Huh, now you know fear? Let me tell you, one of the ancestors of the Twin Dragons Guild had once saved me, and this is what you can give? 7-star Emperor laughed mockingly. His words let Daoist Tianhu and the others know that they could not escape death today. On the other side, the sect masters and disciples of the Twin Dragons Guild all shouted, destroy them, I want to devour their sect. Sigh, we underestimated the strength of 7-star Emperor. Seeing that the other party was planning to kill them all, Daoist Tianhu and the others sighed. On the path of martial arts, every step was difficult. One careless mistake and they would turn into ashes. They naturally knew this truth. However, when the truth fell on their heads, they knew how cruel the world was. As for their sect's disciples, they sat down powerlessly. Some of the timid ones even cried. Moreover, some were so angry that their eyes turned red. They cursed Sky Illusion Old Man because this expert was too confident and caused them to die. However, just as death was about to arrive, suddenly, an indifferent voice floated out. Now, is it my turn to make a move? The ancient lake suddenly quieted down. Who are you? The 7-star monarch also looked at the ancient lake, looking for the person who spoke. Then he saw a cloaked person slowly walk out, which made him frown. But then, he saw the cloaked man take off his cloak, revealing a clean face. He was very young. Most importantly, that kid was just true God realm. Who are you? However, the 7-star emperor in the daytime frowned. Because he believed that the kid had seen the battle just now, but he still dared to come out after seeing it. This meant that there was definitely something hidden. Unless that kid was an idiot. Over at the Twin Dragon Society's side, everyone was also taken aback, and then roared with laughter. Even the Sky Fantasy Old Man, a martial immortal, was defeated. What could that true god stage brat do? He would be killed with a single finger. Tianhuzhenren, can I make my move now? I've taken the reward, so I have to put up a front. So, all you need to do is say the word, and I'll kill him. The person who had come was Lin Ling. He spoke with a calm expression. Boom! When these words came out, the ancient lake seemed to have exploded. Kill him? A true god stage killing a martial immortal stage 3? This kid must have not woken up yet. This. Tianhuzhenren and the other sect leaders were all smiling bitterly. Of course, they did not think that Lin Ling could reverse the situation. But now that Lin Ling had asked them, they had no choice but to answer. Go, go. Tianhuzhenren waved his hand and said, his tone was filled with helplessness. Sky Fantasy Old Man also opened his eyes, his old face was filled with a bitter smile. Little friend, don't underestimate him. At this moment, he no longer looked down on people with the seriousness from before. He did not think that Lin Ling could win, but he felt that Lin Ling's courage was too admirable. Kid, do you really want to die? 7-star the Arch felt like he was being toyed with. However, Lin Ling did not even look at him. Now that Tianhuzhenren had agreed, he could also make his move. He smiled and said indifferently, you're called 7-star Emperor Tyrant, who is your master? If your master was here, I would be afraid of him. But you? You're still too weak. What? 7-star Emperor did not expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant. Just as he was about to speak, Lin Ling spoke again. 3rd level of the martial immortal realm, 20% of the power of the universe. Not bad. With such great power, you can defeat 70% of the 3rd level of the martial immortal realm. However, there is always someone better than you. If you play with great power, others may not be weaker than you. What? 7-star Emperor finally roared. This kid was using the tone of a senior to evaluate him? This guy. Sky Fantasy Old Man gave up on healing and looked at Lin Ling with a dumbfounded expression. Did this Lin Ling not see the previous battle? Why was he still spouting such arrogant words even now? Tianhuzhenren, he's the person you invited? Beside Tianhuzhenren, the other sect leaders were also shocked. They felt that Lin Ling did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Of course, after 7-star Emperor flew into a rage, his killing intent rose. You are the person I want to kill the most. You will be the first to die. Unfortunately, you can't kill me. Sigh. Lin Ling replied indifferently. Flames finally appeared on the surface of his body. Moreover, the sky began to oppress. No one knew what martial arts he used, but the temperature in the surrounding area was extremely high. Most importantly, Lin Ling seemed to be in the true God realm, but his boundary essence was rising steadily, giving people a great pressure. Because, his three dantians began to merge, and the evil flame change was activated to the final transformation. Sensing Lin Ling's change, the seven-star emperor in white sun let out a fierce shout. Boundless realm essence surged from his body, transforming into numerous meteors that shot towards Lin Ling. 20% of the power of the universe suddenly arrived. Seeing this, Sky Fantasy Old Man and the other experts all stopped breathing. However, in their eyes, Lin Ling still stood quietly without moving, as if he did not know how powerful seven-star Emperor's 20% of the power of the universe was. Be careful. Screech. Tianhu Zhenren shouted in horror, but at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Rumble. The clouds in the sky were burned away, and coffins seemed to be summoned from the void of the universe, causing the sky to become colorful. The destructive aura was extremely terrifying. Look! Screech. Everyone raised their heads, and their expressions changed greatly. Sky Fantasy Old Man and the other experts looked at Lin Ling and found that the flames on his body were surging, as if he was summoning the flame coffins in the sky. Heaven and earth change. Screech. Finally, Lin Ling spoke indifferently. His long hair danced wildly, and his cloak flapped loudly. Flames appeared, and heaven and earth changed. Rumble. Chapter 2873. A strange scabbard. That seven-star emperor in daytime shouted in alarm. He discovered that the power of those flame coffins had long since surpassed the third level of the martial immortal realm. He could not understand how a true god of the younger generation could unleash so much world essence. Then, without saying a word, he was directly killed by a flame coffin. The ancient lake was also blown into ruins. The entire earth continued to shake. Looking at the twin dragons' union, who knows how many people were killed or injured? Meteors falling from the sky, nothing more than this. Is he still a human? Looking at the scene of a great calamity descending, the Sky Fantasy Old Man, Tianhu Daoist and the others were so scared that their lips turned white. They did not expect that a true immortal realm junior would have such a large amount of world energy. Moreover, those flame coffins had 10% of the power of the universe. Shouldn't the power of the universe be comprehended by martial immortals? This guy's talent is all grade 5. His talent is not weak, but the density of his world energy is the most terrifying thing. After the shock, the Sky Fantasy Old Man could not close his mouth. Then, he thought of how he put on airs in front of Lin Ling and immediately slapped himself a few times. Such a terrifying guy was not a little brat at all. He was simply a martial arts legend. Tianhu Daoist, you've brought back a good helper. Yes. That's right. However, his flame coffins did not distinguish between friend and foe. Many of our sect's disciples were injured and were blown away. Yes. No matter what, he saved us today. I was wondering why a true immortal realm junior was not afraid of us. It turns out that this guy simply treated the sect leader as a fart. Yes. The other sect leaders also said one after another. Their words were indeed true. In the direction where Lin Ling came from, when the sect leaders saw Lin Ling, it was as if they saw a demon. Then, they hurriedly rushed towards Lin Ling. Words of flattery came out one after another, treating Lin Ling as an honored guest. Even the Sky Fantasy Old Man dragged his heavy injuries and walked forward with a smile. Lin Ling calmly listened to those words, a look of indifference on his face. In truth, he already knew that he would win. But just like before, after using the evil flame transformation's heaven and earth transformation, all the world essence in his body was exhausted. Let's not talk about those empty words. We can enter the dragon scale mystery realm now. Lin Ling looked at the dragon mouth rock in the middle of the ancient lake and strode towards it. As for the remaining members of the Twin Dragons Association, they will be left for Daoist Tianhu to deal with. Looking at the calm Lin Ling, all the seniors revealed reverence in their eyes. There were countless geniuses in the 9 prefectures of the heavens and earth. Although they would never reach such heights in their lifetime, they still yearned for it. In front of the dragon's mouth, Lin Ling stood indifferently. Previously, he had seen the flame coffin fall, but the dragon's mouth was unscathed. It was indeed very mysterious. I wonder where this dragon mouth leads to. Lin Ling quietly said. The 9 dragons and 18 ravines were like ancient dragons, so this entrance should lead to the other side. After a careful inspection, Lin Ling stepped into the cave. Behind him, Daoist Tianhu and the other experts also followed in. The cave was a little hot and long. The surrounding rocks were obviously brighter red, so red that water could drip out. Could it be that this is a cave formed by a young dragon? The Sky Fantasia elder muttered to himself. What nonsense are you talking about? This is a place where dragon chi condenses. However, Lin Ling indifferently replied. Your Excellency is right. The Sky Fantasia elder laughed. Being reprimanded by Lin Ling, he did not feel ashamed at all. Previously, he had already guessed that this guy called Lin Ling had most likely cultivated some kind of powerful martial technique that allowed him to raise his boundary essence. Or perhaps, he was a 4th-layer martial immortal and had merely concealed his cultivation with the help of a treasure. However, to possess such strength at such a young age, his background was definitely not to be underestimated. He was not someone he could afford to offend. The cave was very long. After walking for a full 2 hours, a vast cave finally appeared in front of them. There were many ancient objects on the ground, which looked extremely extraordinary. We're here. Everyone was overjoyed. According to the legends, there must be great treasures in the dragon scale secret realm. The legends were true. That's the ink feather teardrop jade. I've been looking for it for 800 years. The Sky Fantasia elder laughed. Wait. However, Daoist Tianhu immediately interrupted him and looked at Lin Ling with a smile. Senior Lin Ling, you go first. According to the agreement, Lin Ling could choose one of the treasures in the dragon scale secret realm. Now, he had the right to choose first. I'm too forgetful. Senior Lin Ling, you go first. The Sky Fantasia elder reacted and patted his head. He quickly smiled and asked Lin Ling to choose first. Lin Ling did not hesitate. He activated his 10,000 elephant demon eyes and searched around. However, his gaze soon fell on an old scabbard. His 10,000 elephant demon eyes could not see through that scabbard. Kunlun. Even the little Kunlun on his left arm let out a sound. The green bud at the front of the vines also pointed at the scabbard. Little Kunlun also knows about treasures. Lin Ling could not help but smile. Since that was the case, he would choose that scabbard. He came to a corner of the cave. There was a bronze man there and the scabbard was beside the bronze man. It looked inconspicuous, causing Daoist Tianhu and the others to be stunned. With so many treasures, Lin Ling only chose a broken scabbard? Even if he chose the bronze man, it would be better than the broken scabbard. However, they only thought about it. They did not dare to interrupt Lin Ling's choice. Lin Ling held the scabbard with one hand. His eyes were filled with curiosity because he did not know what treasure the scabbard was. However, he could tell that the scabbard was definitely not ordinary. However, no matter how he looked at it, he could not see anything special about the scabbard. When he poured his realm essence into the scabbard, a change finally occurred. A cloud of smoke spread out and then condensed in front of Lin Ling, turning into a headless black shadow. That cold aura actually made Lin Ling shudder. This black shadow seemed to be very scary. The black shadow gradually became clearer. It was actually a headless man, and he didn't seem to be very young. This time, Lin Ling was stunned. The people in the distance were also stunned. What was that? My head, where is it? The headless old man even let out a voice as if he was a living person. Moreover, he was wearing a sword formed by smoke, giving people the feeling that he was a great swordsman. Senior, you are. Lin Ling frowned but still asked carefully. My sword, where is it? The headless old man ignored Lin Ling and let out an old voice. Moreover, a sword aura from ancient times quietly spread out. Rumble. The entire cave began to tremble. It could be imagined that this old man was definitely a powerful swordsman. Senior. Lin Ling could not help but tremble with fear. If this mysterious headless old man attacked them, he had a feeling that no one would be able to block a sword. However, the headless old man still ignored Lin Ling. He turned into a ghost-like smoke and floated towards Lin Ling's tyrannical song sword. A moment later, a broken scabbard appeared outside the tyrannical song sword. Damn! Chapter 2874. The Great War of the Ancients. Lin Ling then took the tyrannical song sword and tried to pull it out. However, even if he used 50 universe force, the sword could not be pulled out. Lin Ling could not throw away the tyrannical song sword. Therefore, he could only carry the strange scabbard with him. Senior Lin, what happened? The people in the cave saw that everything had returned to normal and they quickly asked. How would I know? Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. He felt that he was being haunted by ghosts. You guys choose your treasures and continue forward. Lin Ling planned to check the scabbard slowly after returning to Qingzhou. Therefore, he left after saying that and continued forward. Not long after, the end of the cave appeared. It was another part of the Dragon Scale Mystery Realm. After walking out of the cave, there was a green-black tortoise ancient rock in front of him. A large number of experts had gathered in the sky and on the ground. An earth-shattering battle had also appeared before his eyes. The entire sky was filled with treasure light and ancient desolate aura. A huge dragon that seemed to be formed by countless runes was wandering in the sky. The dragon was so big that one could not see the end of it. It was comparable to a world. Moreover, it had 2 ferocious dragon heads. One spat out desolate wind and the other shot out lightning from its eyes. As it roared, countless people on the ground died. This dragon was also the largest and most ancient dragon that Lin Ling had seen in his 2 lives. If the Azure Dragon King was the ancestor of dragons, then this dragon was the dragon god. On the ground, countless ancient martial artists were wriggling like tides. All of them were martial immortal realm ancient martial artists. Every move they made was like a shocking wave. Even so, they still could not stop the attack of the dragon in the sky. Kill this dragon and take its soul. A bugle horn blew, bringing with it a mysterious melody that made one's blood boil. At the same time, an ancient flag was swaying in the sky. There was an ancient word, Qi, embroidered on it. They are from the Divine Dynasty. Just as Lin Ling was looking at them in shock, a serious voice came from the side. Spiritual Master Tianhu and the others had also come after hearing the news. Divine Dynasty? Lin Ling's eyes flickered. He knew that those should be the cultivators from the Crimson State Divine Dynasty. Compared to the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, the Crimson State Divine Dynasty was obviously more powerful. Senior Lin Ling, what do you think they're doing? The fantasy old man's words were filled with nervousness because the battle in the distance wasn't something he could participate in. Seizing the dragon's soul, the desolate dragon formed by the runes is most likely the most ancient dragon in the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. I didn't expect that after so many years, this dragon is still alive. Lin Ling said slowly. Kill. At this time, the group of experts attacked again. Compared to the dragons in the sky, they were clearly like ants, but they had the advantage in numbers. All kinds of powerful forces of the universe were blooming. Someone had unlocked the 3rd seal of the true god martial spirit. What was even more frightening was that in the distance, someone activated a true deity martial soul that was unexpectedly not smaller than the desolate dragons. That was a great condor whose entire body was resplendent with golden light. It spoke human language, challenging the desolate ancient. Desolate body. Seeing that, Lin Ling's expression changed slightly. Beside him, Immortal Tianhu and the others knelt down directly. Facing the desolate body, they only felt that they could not resist it. As for Lin Ling, he also felt immense pressure. Of course, it was much better than them. This was because Lin Ling also had two desolate bodies. They were the myriad demon eyes and the space-time divine steel. In fact, they were existences that surpassed the desolate body. However, his talent had not been unearthed, so Lin Ling could not be like the person in the distance, who could release a powerful aura. As for the experts, they were like 100 flowers blooming. After joining forces, the desolate dragon's aura began to weaken. Woo woo woo. But at this time, the sound of ghosts crying could be heard. In the distant sky, a large black cloud drifted over. Furthermore, white paper money was constantly sprinkling down, giving people a very strange feeling. When the black cloud approached, people saw that it was a large group of people carrying tombstones. They were like walking corpses. This, where did this come from? Seeing this, the fantasy old man said with a trembling voice. The group of people gave him the feeling that they could take away his soul at any time. 9 prefectures, 10 evils, the Tomb Guardian clan. Lin Ling said indifferently. This caused the fantasy old man's pupils to constrict. Of course, he had heard of this terrifying existence. He did not expect the legends to be true. And this group of people was clearly here to snatch the dragon's soul. This caused the two forces to be at loggerheads. However, the dragon god's soul was very rare. Therefore, another group of powerful ancient forces had arrived. After this group of people appeared, a wave of destructive aura exploded out. Among them, on a huge black fish, a man dressed like a scholar stood there. He hugged a beautiful woman, causing the experts on the ground to have solemn expressions. Creation Alliance. A cry of alarm sounded on the ground. Everyone knew that this group of people was also the 9 prefectures 10 vicious. In the 9 prefectures, the 9 prefectures 10 vicious were extremely famous. They were like vermin. Wherever they passed, people would be in a terrible situation. Amitba. However, this was not the end of the terrifying matter. In the sky on the other side, Buddhist chants could be heard. Ancient Buddhist temples floated over. Black and golden rays of light intertwined as if the sun of darkness and light had arrived. Moreover, old monks wearing monk robes walked over from afar. They did not seem to be fast, but in the blink of an eye, they appeared on the other side of the lofty dragon. What is this? This time, the Tianhu Daoist also let out a cry of alarm. He could see that the people were very afraid of the approaching temples. Rumble. Moreover, these old monks had already made their move. It seemed like a gentle wave, but on the ground, millions of people died. Moreover, the most terrifying thing was that the dead people turned into skeletons and walked on the ground as if they were looking for the other side of the world. However, Lin Ling shook his head. For the time being, he did not know the origin of that temple-like existence. Let's go. The clash of these experts is not something we can watch. Yes. Seeing the arrival of groups of experts, the sky fantasy old man already had the intention of retreating. However, Lin Ling did not leave. His eyes stared at the temple. Inside the temple, the light of dawn gently scattered. In the soft light, he saw a familiar figure. Although he could not see the figure's appearance, he was very sure that this figure was someone he knew. I know, that is the 9 continents 10 ferocious immortal temple, and you, disappeared in this immortal temple. Suddenly, Lin Ling seemed to have thought of something. His face became excited. However, when he wanted to rush over, the ancient earth in front of him had already erupted into a terrifying battle. The surging power made it difficult for Lin Ling to get close. Under the attacks of the experts, the lofty dragon let out a mournful cry and finally turned into a huge amount of green smoke and disappeared. The dragon's soul was also obtained by a black-clothed man. After he obtained it, a huge earthworm rolled on the ground and spat out black soil mist. After swallowing the man, it immediately disappeared into the ground. People looked at the huge armored worm with flickering eyes, but in the end, they did not chase after it. Because they knew that they could not catch up. He was very annoyed because he had finally met Inuer, but Inuer didn't seem to recognize him. What the hell is going on? Get lost? In the distance, the 9 provinces experts were all shocked. This youth was truly bold. You want me to scram? You are the first person to say such words to me. Prince Guangtai instantly frowned. From his point of view, Lin Ling was just an ant. An ant dared to reprimand him? I don't know who your is, but she is someone from Immortal Temple. Forget about you, even I don't dare to rashly provoke her. Don't even think about eating swan meat. Now, kneel down for me. Prince Guangtai's voice was filled with the might of the heavens. However, Lin Ling ignored Prince Guangtai. Instead, he shot towards the sky. I'm Lin Ling. He constantly shouted. However, the Immortal Temple's experts remained motionless. They even wanted to kill the ant. However, a stern voice sounded in their ears, leaving them slightly surprised. Following that, they hurriedly nodded. The Immortal Temple members ignored Lin Ling and shot into the distance. Immortal Temple, the 9 provinces' 10 Banes. They actually didn't kill anyone despite being shouted by an ant. How strange. Everyone narrowed their eyes when they saw this scene. They were in extreme disbelief. Seeing the Immortal Temple flying away, Lin Ling erupted with a speed that exceeded 10 realms and chased after it. Once this speed appeared, the experts of the 9 provinces were all moved. A speed that exceeded 10 realms was nothing in their eyes. However, the one who displayed this speed was at the true immortal realm. This was a little terrifying. This kid is not simple. The old monsters from all sides muttered to themselves. They were even more curious about Lin Ling. It was as if Lin Ling was a little white mouse. They all wanted to know the secret of this little white mouse. Lin Ling did not know that he had become a thorn in the eyes of all the experts. He was still chasing after the Immortal Temple. Unfortunately, although the Immortal Temple seemed slow, it disappeared in an instant. This caused Lin Ling to be stunned in the sky. He clenched his fists tightly and his expression was extremely ugly. He had finally met Inuer, but his strength was too weak. In the end, he still could not make Inuer stay. This made him feel extremely uncomfortable. When he thought of the senior sister in the distant Gu Yen sect who was the first to help him and now disappeared without a trace, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. Kid, you can't catch up to him. Give up. At this moment, an old voice sounded. It was the Lord of the Dragon Phoenix Fort. He was also an expert who lived as long as the heavens and the earth. He was not under the jurisdiction of the 9 provinces. In the 9 provinces, no one dared to disrespect him. Thank you, but I won't give up. Lin Ling raised his head and looked at the old man. Then, he said word by word. Although the senior's strength was monstrous, he was very polite to Lin Ling. Therefore, Lin Ling had a good impression of him. Hearing this, the old man sighed softly. He somewhat admired Lin Ling's persistence. Unfortunately, the Immortal Temple was not something that Lin Ling could provoke. Even he did not dare to provoke it easily. Alright, stop doing useless things. You're simply an ant that can't see itself clearly. Of course, there was also someone who was very unhappy with Lin Ling. It was an old woman in a Taoist robe. In her opinion, Lin Ling was overestimating himself. It's none of your business. Hearing those tricky and harsh words, Lin Ling's face turned cold. He was looking for Inuer. What did it have to do with these people? These people were gloating and reprimanding him in the tone of a senior. This made his originally bad mood even worse. Are you talking to me? I kindly reminded you, but you reprimanded me? The old woman was stunned. She frowned and said, I'll give you a chance. Cripple your own cultivation and I'll spare your life. This is my greatest gift to you. Cripple my own cultivation? Lin Ling's lips curled into a mocking smile. If he crippled his cultivation, wouldn't he be dead? I'll give you 3 breaths of time. The old woman's voice was very serious. There's no need for you to count. If you want to cripple me, then do it. However, Lin Ling laughed. It was a maniacal laugh. Today, he watched Yuer leave with his own eyes. His heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. When he saw these seniors bullying him, his anger immediately boiled. Don't think that you're very powerful. If you give me another 1,000 years, I'll cut you down with my sword. Chapter 2876. 9 Lantern Fish Lu Chen, this brat is really arrogant. Seeing that Lin Ling did not kneel down and beg for mercy, the eyes of the 9 provinces experts flickered. Of course, the old woman was furious. A true God Realm Junior dared to be so arrogant? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? She laughed out of anger. Haha. To her surprise, Lin Ling laughed even louder than her. Then let me ask you, if I kneel down and beg for mercy, will you spare me? If you kneel down and beg for mercy, I'll only cripple your cultivation. The old woman said coldly. Since that's the case, why should I kneel down and beg for mercy? Or are you born an idiot? You don't know what's the difference between a warrior without cultivation and death. This is something that everyone knows, and you actually dare to say it out loud. You even said it so matter-of-factly. Let me tell you, since I'm going to die anyway, why should I kneel? Why should I lower my voice to you? Lin Ling's laughter grew louder and louder, making everyone secretly nod. Lin Ling was right. Crippling one's cultivation was equivalent to death, so why should he kneel down and beg for mercy? Wasn't that unnecessary? Of course, that was the reason. However, if it was someone else, they would definitely kneel down and beg for mercy. Shut up. The old woman did not expect Lin Ling to be so arrogant. A cold aura spread out from her body. She was actually at the peak of the martial immortal realm. Between her eyebrows, she could destroy 10,000 worlds. If I, Emperor Yukan, want to kill you, even the gods can't save you. The old woman attacked. Enormous amounts of world essence rolled out. Don't think that you're amazing just because you're at the peak of the martial immortal realm. In the past, I've killed more than 10,000 old monsters like you. Seeing that the old woman attacked, Lin Ling did not hide his strength and erupted with all his strength. He would rather die than fight. At that moment, he even wanted to fight to the death. And Yuer left in front of him. It was as if a huge rock was pressing down on his heart. Die. Boundless world essence energy formed a large area of treasure light that enveloped Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, he risked his life to block the attack. However, with his strength, how could he possibly block the attack of a peak martial immortal? Just as he was about to unleash the spacetime divine steel, the tyrant song sword behind him suddenly moved. It actually shot toward the old woman on its own. The sword pierced through an enormous amount of world essence energy and appeared in front of the old woman. This sudden change caused the old woman to frown slightly. This sword seemed a little strange. However, she quickly sneered and reached out with her hand in an attempt to break the sword. Just a useless sword. Watch me destroy it. However, as soon as she came into contact with Tyrant Song, a wisp of a terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the scabbard. It was ghastly, gloomy, and carried the aura of destruction. My head, where is it? A headless old man floated out of the scabbard and stood in the sky as if he had lost his soul. This caused the experts of the 9 states to tremble in fear. That sword gave them a very cold feeling, as if it was a demonic sword. The old woman's eyes narrowed. She wanted to say something, but the headless old man had already placed his right hand on the sword at his waist. In the next instant, sword light flickered. It was sparkling and resplendent. It looked like a very ordinary sword strike. However, it caused the old woman to be stunned. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. Caw caw caw. Almost at the same time, the old woman's body cracked open like a rock and turned into pieces of flesh. She was killed by a single sword strike. The earth immediately became deathly silent. Killing a peak martial immortal with a single sword strike. In the next instant, the experts of the 9 states sucked in a breath of cold air. After the old woman died, the world essence energy that she had activated earlier completely disappeared, revealing Lin Ling's figure. This caused everyone to look at him in fear. At the beginning, they had thought that Lin Ling was an ant that they could kill however they wanted. However, now, they realized that this mysterious young man was not simple at all. Especially that sword. It gave them a very strong feeling of sharpness. It made them feel that this mysterious young man was on the same level as them. No wonder he's so arrogant. He does have some ability. Whose successor is he? Could he be the disciple of the sword comprehension old man? I don't think so. The sword comprehension old man controls the sword of the 9 states righteous path. However, that sword is somewhat evil, like a demonic sword. Everyone started whispering. Even with their knowledge, they could not see through that sword. Not bad. It's mine. However, at that moment, an ambitious voice sounded from afar. It was Prince Guangtai, the younger brother of the Crimson Province Emperor. Although he was also very afraid of that sword, he was stronger than the old woman. He should be able to seize the sword. Prince Guangtai has been paying attention to that young man for a long time. Now, he has the upper hand by making the first move. It's a pity that I can't fight against that sword. Otherwise, I would have made a move too. That young man is hiding too many secrets. He's like a treasure. The experts from all sides were somewhat envious. Even the tomb keepers who had been silent in the distance looked at Lin Ling curiously. It was as if they wanted to see through everything about Lin Ling. However, just as Prince Guangtai made his move, a tyrannical fist broke through the sky of this world and came rolling over. Get lost. Rumble. That fist broke through the universe and blasted thousands of worlds. It formed a huge storm and shattered the earth of the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. That fist was terrifying. At the same time, a ferocious giant black fish appeared in the sky and punched out together with that fist. Bang bang bang. Heavenly Prince Guangtai's expression changed. He clapped his hands and an ancient bronze bell appeared. However, when the fist hit the ancient bell, it actually cracked. Heavenly Prince Guangtai quickly retreated and dodged the fist. 9 Lantern Fish Lu Chen, are you courting death? Prince Guangtai shouted angrily after he escaped into the distance. Huh, Prince Guangtai, how about giving me some face? He's my man. In the sky, a man dressed like a scholar appeared quietly with a wine pot in his hand and said with a smile. He seemed to be asking Prince Guangtai to give him some face. However, in reality, he did not seem to be giving Prince Guangtai any face. Dream on. Prince Guangtai was the younger brother of the Scarlet Emperor. How could he embarrass the Scarlet Emperor? After all, this was the Scarlet Province. Huh, then there's nothing to talk about. I'm a reasonable person. If someone gives me some face, I'll give them 5. If someone provokes me, I'll give them 10. Let your brother, the Scarlet Emperor, fight me. The man dressed like a scholar smiled, but his tone was domineering. Your brother, the Scarlet Emperor, has ancient powers. In fact, I'm no match for him. However, it's not difficult for the Creation Alliance to destroy the Scarlet Province. You. Prince Guangtai knew that the man was crazy. If he angered him, he would really destroy the Scarlet Province. Alright, I'll seek justice for today's matter in the future. Since this was a serious matter, Prince Guangtai did not dare to be too arrogant. After saying that, he wanted to leave. Did I say you could leave? However, the man still smiled and said, "Apologize to my brother and I'll spare your life. Don't go too far." Prince Guangtai was furious. "Yes, I'm bullying you." Chapter 2877. The Returning Lin Ling. At this moment, the cultivators of the 9 states were shocked. They never thought that the 9 lanterns fish Lu Chen would challenge the Crimson State for the sake of that young man. "If you want to play, then let's play big." At the same time, a destructive aura burst out, and the Kings of Destruction of the Creation Alliance roared. Looking at the imposing aura of the Creation Alliance, Heavenly Prince Guangtai's expression kept changing. He knew that the Creation Alliance was an alliance of lunatics. If he did not apologize, this group of lunatics would really destroy the Crimson Province. Even if everyone in the Creation Alliance died, they would not stop. "Little brother, I'm sorry if I offended you before." Finally, Emperor Guangtai cupped his hands and said to Lin Ling. Lin Ling sneered when he saw this. In this world, strength represented everything. If he was weak today, then he would have been toyed to death like a cockroach by these experts. Most importantly, he had no enmity with these powerhouses, but they wanted him, Lin Ling, to obey their orders and kneel like a slave. Get lost. Therefore, in the face of Emperor Guangtai's apology, Lin Ling did not give him any face. You. Emperor Guangtai was a giant of the Crimson Province. When had he ever received such treatment? He was so angry that his face turned green. Scram. Unfortunately, Lin Ling didn't care at all. Instead, he looked at the crowd and said, "You old monsters think you're so powerful, but you've forgotten that you were also very insignificant in the past. Facing cultivators stronger than you, you were just as insignificant. So, that's all you've got. That's all you have." His last sentence drifted out like a gust of wind, intimidating everyone. What an arrogant young man. The eyes of the experts flickered, but they didn't say anything. Although they felt uncomfortable, Lin Ling couldn't be underestimated. Firstly, Lu Chen was present. Secondly, Lin Ling's mysterious sword. These 2 reasons made them not dare to make a move. "Brother Lin Ling, why have you come to Crimson Province?" Lu Chen, the 9 lanterns fish, looked at Lin Ling and smiled. He was not surprised by Lin Ling's arrogant personality. He already knew that Lin Ling had the same temperament as him. "If you gave me 30% of face, would give you 50%. If you provoke me 30%, I would fight you 50%. I came here in pursuit of an enemy." Who would have thought that so many things would happen along the way? Lin Ling also looked at the latter. He had seen Lu Chen the 9 lantern fish earlier, so he was not surprised. "You're just lawless. You dare to leave Qing province with a true God realm cultivation base. TSK, you have extraordinary courage. Now, you should go back." "Okay, thank you for before." The 2 of them continued to chat while Lu Chen personally sent Lin Ling off. Qingzhou. Hearing their conversation, Emperor Guangtai's eyes turned cold. He finally knew Lin Ling's background. He would remember today's humiliation. In the future, he would pay a visit. Lin Ling and Lu Chen walked side by side. When they arrived at the entrance of the cave, the illusionary Sky Elder and the others immediately knelt down and saluted Lu Chen. However, Lu Chen obviously did not have time to pay attention to them. Lin Ling said goodbye to Lu Chen, then entered the cave and went back the way he came. Lu Chen also knew that the 9 states experts were afraid of him, so he did not leave for the time being. He still guarded the cave entrance, giving Lin Ling time to leave. In the cave, Tianhu's spiritual master and the others treated Lin Ling as if he was their ancestor. Previously, they had guessed that Lin Ling's background was not small, and now, they were even more certain. In front of the 9 states' ancient experts, he was fearless and arrogant. Would an ordinary person dare to do so? However, Lin Ling did not know what they were thinking. At this moment, he was still thinking about a new era. Fortunately, he saw that Inuer's status in the Immortal Temple was not low, so he did not have to worry about Inuer's safety for the time being. As long as he stepped into the martial immortal realm, he could leave the Azure province and find Inuer. This scabbard is really strange. Thinking about how it killed a peak martial immortal realm expert with one strike, Lin Ling was also very shocked. However, no matter how he summoned the scabbard did not respond, so he was helpless. After a long time, everyone walked out of the cave, and Lin Ling directly said goodbye. Looking at Lin Ling leaving, Tianhu's spiritual master and the others were silent for a long time. I believe that soon, 9 states will hear Lin Ling's name. The illusionary Sky Elder sighed. At this moment, Lin Ling was anxious to return. He wore a large cloak, tied the realgar with vines, and rushed forward. At this moment, a huge crack appeared in the sky. Clearly, the time for the 100th sect gathering had arrived. Lin Ling did not stop and shot into the crack. Of course, when he left, he also took a look at the 18 ravines of the 9 dragons. He never thought that so many things would happen on the way while chasing after the realgar. However, what made him happy was that his strength had greatly increased. Sacred land of the rainforest, I, Lin Ling, am back. After entering the crack, the next thing he appeared was the Crimson Province's Jiansang Mountain, and Lin Ling shot into the sky. At this moment, the rainforest's sacred land was deathly silent. There was no longer its former glory, as if a corner was abandoned by heaven and earth. However, in the former rainforest's sacred land, Xianping Province, there were still a large number of people gathered here. Not a single person can be seen. This Lin Ling is really powerful. Where did he hide his people? Lord said that there is no one in the Azure province. Even Lin Ling is missing. I think he's not missing. He might be dead. After searching for a while, those people's faces turned ugly. Obviously, Lin Ling had been missing for a period of time, so the authorities of the Azure province did not know where he went. In the end, they guessed that Lin Ling might be dead. Therefore, those who had a grudge against Lin Ling all wanted to capture Lin Ling's family and friends alive to vent the hatred in their hearts. Unfortunately, after arriving in the Azure province, they did not find a single person. Destroy this place. A young man shouted coldly. Destroy this realm? The people at the side were stunned, and then they all sneered. Lin Ling should be dead. In that case, the rainforest's sacred land had no right to stay. The monstrous genius of the Azure province, Lin Ling, has disappeared with the wind. His hometown has also disappeared in the chaos of the universe. Everyone attacked one after another, and a huge amount of realm essence roared in the sky. However, before they could attack, a strange sound suddenly came from the ground in the distance, as if a rock was rolling along the ground. This time, everyone frowned. They looked over and saw a cloaked figure walking over from the distance. He was holding a rock and walking over slowly, giving off an extremely mysterious feeling. Who are you? This is a forbidden area. Ordinary people are not allowed to come close. The leading young man frowned, then said indifferently, I'm from the Sunbone. I hope you can give me some face. Sunbone? A sneer came from the distance. Suddenly, a flame bloomed, and a wisp of flame shot over like a firefly. Do you have a death wish? Seeing this, the experts around the young man shouted coldly. They said that they wanted the other party to give them face. However, not only did the other party not give them face, he even took the initiative to attack. Chapter 2878. The Sunbone couldn't even protect itself. A firefly dares to compete with the moon? Lord, let me do it. An old man sneered as he walked out. His hands waved and flames immediately rose from the ground. Flames from the 10,000 worlds were also summoned. Elder Gu is still the best. Many people started roaring with laughter when they saw this scene, and they even looked at that strand of firefly fire with disdain. 2 types of flames, one big and one small. There was no need to guess. They could guess the result. Unfortunately, although the firefly's flame was small, it wasn't something they could block. Boom! The firefly's flame shot over and collided with the old man's 10,000 worlds flame. In the next moment, the old man's 10,000 worlds flame was completely burned. This was flames burning flames. Not good. This person's realm essence and talent are both very strong. The old man's expression changed drastically. He wanted to say something, but the flames had already burned his body, causing him to cry out in pain. He kept rolling on the ground and finally, his voice became softer and softer. He was completely turned into ashes. Playing with fire with me? In the distance, the cloaked man's right hand once again produced multicolored flames that poured down. Ah! Who are you? When the flames appeared, it was like opening the door between the underworld and the 10,000 worlds. It burned a large number of people to death. Even the young man's right arm was burned off. If he didn't react quickly and pull his right arm out, he would have been burned to death. Who are you? After anxiously dodging the terrifying flames, the young man immediately roared in anger. I should be the one asking you who you are. The cloaked man's voice was very cold. It was a sharp contrast to the burning flames. He is Lin Ling. However, the cloaked man didn't say anything. Instead, it was Realgar, who was tied up by vines behind him, who spoke in panic. Lin Ling, you are Lin Ling? Aren't you dead? Hearing that, the remaining people's expressions changed drastically. One had to know that for the past few years, the experts of Qing province had been searching for Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling's whereabouts were unknown. Even those close to Lin Ling didn't know where Lin Ling had gone. This made the authorities of the Qing state speculate that Lin Ling might be dead. After all, the true powerhouses of the Great Green Divine Dynasty would not stand by and do nothing when the country was being destroyed. Especially with the arrival of this year, they were even more certain of everything. This was because not long ago, someone had also come to the rainforest sacred land and unscrupulously ravaged this land. However, Lin Ling still did not appear, and this explained everything. You want me to die so badly? At this moment, the cloaked man also took off his cloak, revealing his cold face. His gaze swept across the crowd, causing everyone to tremble like cicadas in winter. In reality, Lin Ling had guessed long ago that when he was not around, his enemies would cause trouble. That was why he sent his grandfather and the others to the Flame World Fragment. You, don't be too arrogant. The leading youth's face was very pale. He knew that he was no match for Lin Ling. However, he also knew that if he came to the rainforest sacred land and was seen by Lin Ling, the outcome would definitely not be good. Therefore, he went all out. Bang! The ground was stomped by him and instantly cracked open. Rolling realm essence appeared on his palm and powerful martial arts were released, blasting towards Lin Ling. He was at the peak of the true immortal realm. With his full strength, and with Lin Ling's carelessness, he might be able to kill Lin Ling. Boom! However, Lin Ling did not move at all. He had received the palm strike just like that. He did not even move a single step. Instead, his icy cold eyes were staring at the young man. Impossible. Although you are stronger than me, you can't receive my full strength attack. The youth raised his head and looked at Lin Ling, his face filled with fear. Pa! Lin Ling reached out his right hand and grabbed the youth's palm. 50 universe power was released and the youth's palm turned into dust. Ah! The youth was in pain, but he could not break free from Lin Ling's palm. He shouted angrily, I am senior brother Sun Bone's subordinate. You dare to touch me? Do you want to die? Sun Bone can't even protect himself. Hearing this, Lin Ling coldly spat out a sentence. This time, he wanted to kill Sun Bone and Luo Shawthorn the most. Enough, let him go. However, at this moment, a cold shout rang out in the sky. Then, an old man in a green robe appeared. Master. Looking at the old man, everyone was overjoyed. This was because this was a powerful elder of the 3 academies and also Sun Bone's master. Who are you? Lin Ling raised his head and asked coldly. You are not qualified to know. The old man in the green robe said indifferently, now, let him go. I represent my disciple, Sun Bone, to settle any grudges you have. Of course, life and death are up to fate. If you die, the people behind you are not allowed to trouble me. He obviously knew that Lin Ling's appeal was terrifying, so he made this point in advance. You want to fight me? Lin Ling asked indifferently. Let my disciple go first. The old man frowned. If you want to fight, then fight fairly. What kind of ability are you to kidnap my disciple? Hearing this, Lin Ling laughed. I kidnapped him. He was the one who behaved atrociously in my territory and was caught red-handed by me. Do you think I should treat someone like this to tea? Moreover, do you think I will let him go just because you say so? Shut up. I will fight you later. If you attack him at a critical moment, won't that disturb my mind? Chapter 2879. You think too highly of yourself. I've taught more geniuses than you've eaten. As long as you don't use my disciple as a hostage to influence me, this battle is enough. Make your move. The old man said proudly. Then do you know why I let your disciple go? Yes. Lin Ling's body also surged with powerful realm essence, causing the rainforest sacred land to tremble. Then, he saw the old man shake his head. He didn't bother to explain anything and activated the evil flame change. 10 realms speed erupted, and in the next instant, he appeared in front of the old man. The powerful realm essence turned into a fist, and like 10,000 realms, it rushed towards the old man. This terrifying power and unimaginable speed caused the old man's expression to change. He didn't expect Lin Ling to be even stronger than the legends. Bang! Before he could react, the old man was hit by Lin Ling's fist. His body flew backwards like a kite with a broken string, and the endless mountains behind him collapsed. The power of this fist was enough to instantly kill the old man with just realm essence. Do I need a hostage against you? You think too highly of yourself. Yes. Almost at the same time, Lin Ling's cold voice floated out. The old man spat out a mouthful of blood, his face incomparably pale. Of course, compared to the intense pain in his body, he felt the burning pain on his face more. He thought that Lin Ling's strength was on par with his, so he was afraid that Lin Ling would take a hostage and affect his condition. But who knew that he was thinking too much? With his strength, did Lin Ling need to take a hostage to fight Lin Ling? With your strength, you want me to make the first move? Yes. Without waiting for the old man to speak, Lin Ling attacked again. With his talent, the strength of his body, the fusion of realm essence, and other powerful methods, he didn't even need to use his trump card. That old man was no match for him at all, and he actually dared to let Lin Ling make the first move. The powerful realm essence formed the fire of time and space, and turned into a multicolored fist that attacked. It was simple, but the power was vast. The old man spat out a mouthful of blood and released 10% of the power of the universe. The people in the distance were extremely nervous. The power of the universe was stronger than realm essence and primal chaos. Their master would definitely win. Rumble. However, after the collision, that elder once again coughed out blood and flew backwards, passing through a large number of giant mountains. Isn't universal power stronger than realm essence? The youths all exclaimed. In reality, even that elder felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Lin Ling's strength simply exceeded his logic, letting him know that after the realm essence was strengthened, its power was similarly incomparable. Puff! Spitting out another mouthful of blood, the old man's face dimmed. In the Yangtze River, each new generation excels the previous one. He finally understood this principle. He bitterly smiled as he looked at his disciple. He was originally afraid that Lin Ling would kidnap his disciple to distract him, but now he knew just how petty and laughable his thoughts were. I, Xian Yinxi, have been practicing martial arts all my life. 5,000 years ago, I became the great elder of the academy. I have taught countless geniuses. I didn't expect that I would lose to a true God Realm Junior today. I can't accept this, I can't accept this. Xian Yinxi roared towards the sky. Why can't you accept this? You're just a first-level martial immortal. Do you think you're a giant in the Azure province? Let me tell you, with your strength, I've already defeated countless people in the Crimson province. Moreover, you know that my rainforest holy land has been destroyed, yet you still dare to be arrogant in my hometown. Aren't you courting death? Puff. Lin Ling took a step forward, his expression extremely cold. Rolling flames engulfed Xian Yinxi. An elder of the academy, an expert with the position of great elder, died in Lin Ling's hands just like that. The youths in the distance all had ashen faces. At this moment, they had forgotten about their master, all they cared about was their own lives. Lin Ling, please spare my life. Puff. The leading youth directly knelt down. Do you think this is possible? Puff. Red scales appeared on the surface of Lin Ling's body. Like an evil flame god, he disappeared on the spot and instantly appeared in front of those people. Rolling flames erupted from his body. I know, this is impossible. Puff. The youth dispiritedly spat out a sentence. They knew Lin Ling's personality. If others didn't offend him, he wouldn't offend them. If others offended him, he would return it 10 times over. Their mistake was to think that Lin Ling was dead. Rumble. Flames soared into the sky, drowning those people and turning them into ashes in the end. On the ground, Xiong Huang was still bound by vines. His heart was trembling. All along, he had thought that Lin Ling was just a little lucky. However, he now realized that Lin Ling was able to rise in the Azure province, where experts were as common as clouds, because Lin Ling was ruthless enough. Lin Ling, I don't have any enmity with you. Everything is just a misunderstanding. For the sake of the Empress Dowager, please spare my life. Xiong Huang was also a famous person in the Five-Ring City. However, in order to live, he also begged Lin Ling for mercy. Lin Ling didn't look at him. Instead, he looked at the quiet rainforest sacred ground. This was his childhood memories. It was his hometown and the place where he grew up. However, everything was now gone with the wind. They don't have any enmity with you. Can you spare their lives? Finally, Lin Ling said indifferently. Xiong Huang opened his mouth but couldn't answer. The people of the rainforest sacred ground indeed didn't have any enmity with Xiong Huang. However, they were insignificant. Therefore, Xiong Huang could kill them as he wished. Now, you are weaker than me and have fallen into my hands. I can kill you as I wish. Sometimes, the logic of this world is that simple. Lin Ling said again. If you kill me, the Empress Dowager won't let you off. She is the first woman of the Azure Emperor and the Azure Province's Divine Empress. Xiong Huang said with a serious expression when he thought of the person behind him. I can see that you are also a person of importance in the Azure Province. Unfortunately, you don't have the courage a warrior should have. Now that you have fallen into my hands, other than begging for mercy, you can only rely on your background. How sad. Lin Ling shook his head. His words made Xiong Huang feel ashamed. However, what could he do? Now that he had fallen into Lin Ling's hands, other than begging for mercy, he couldn't do anything else. Is the Empress Dowager that great? One day, I will reach the peak of the Azure Province and kill her with my own hands. Lin Ling said firmly. Xiong Huang's eyes trembled. You are crazy. The people of the rainforest sacred ground are all mortals. What's the big deal about their deaths? You actually dared to provoke the Divine Empress for them. You should know that in the history of the Azure province, other than the Azure Emperor, no one has ever dared to challenge the Divine Empress. Even if there were, they died. Then I will be the one who succeeded. Lin Ling finally looked at Xiong Huang. His resolute expression made Xiong Huang's expression turn serious. Lin Ling was simply a madman. In fact, if Lin Ling had submitted to the Empress Dowager and become her subordinate, he would have been able to do whatever he wanted in the Azure province. However, Lin Ling actually dared to challenge the Empress Dowager for a group of ants. This wasn't a choice that an ordinary person would make. But for some reason, he suddenly felt that Lin Ling would succeed and really kill the Empress Dowager. Kill me. Xiong Huang shook his head. He knew that he couldn't escape death. Chapter 2880. Tit for tat. You want to die? Not so easy. I want you to look at my friends for thousands of lifetimes and apologize to them. Lin Ling's lips curled into a sneer, causing Xiong Huang's heart to tremble. He finally felt fear. Death was sometimes not the most terrifying thing for a martial artist, especially for Xiong Huang. Death was just closing his eyes because he already knew that he was going to die. However, Lin Ling did not seem to want him to die. Demon suppression. Lin Ling's hands formed a complex barrier, causing the earth to wriggle. Rolling soil rushed towards Xiong Huang and wrapped him up, forming a new huge stone tablet. At the same time, some unknown barrier appeared around the stone tablet. A feeling of ants biting appeared on Xiong Huang's body. Ah, Lin Ling, kill me. Xiong Huang's painful voice came from the stone tablet. Do you know pain now? They had no enmity with you, but you killed them so cruelly. At that time, did you ever think about their thoughts? They only wanted to celebrate my son's wedding. They only wanted to be happy here and live a peaceful life. But you destroyed their dreams. Lin Ling's eyes turned red. Thinking of all his friends, he formed even more barriers with his hands. Right now, Xiong Huang's talent had been beaten out by little Kunlun. He was already half a cripple. Therefore, Xiong Huang could not resist those barriers. After the new barrier appeared, a burning sensation appeared all over Realger's body. Furthermore, it was burning his soul. Moreover, an ice barrier appeared. One cold and one hot, making Xiong Huang wish he was dead. Lightning. Lightning. Lin Ling's eyes were cold. His hands were constantly moving. A lightning barrier appeared and sealed the stone tablet. Wind. Wind. Soul. Wind. Lin Ling set up all the barriers he knew and used Xiong Huang as a weapon. The painful voice continued to resound from the stone tablet. However, Lin Ling had already turned around and left, leaving behind a cold sentence, "You won't die. Suffer this calamity for generations." Wrong. I was wrong. Lin Ling, please give me a quick death. End. Xiong Huang's last words echoed from the stone tablet. He was now very regretful. Lin Ling had destroyed the country. This meant that Lin Ling was not a person to be provoked. However, he was the Empress Dowager, so he disdained Lin Ling and dared to provoke Lin Ling, and Xiong Huang was earth. At that time, he had already had 1 foot hell. For his sake, Lin Ling had slaughtered his way from Qingzhou to Crimson Province, captured him alive, and turned him into a giant monument of apology. Xiong Huang's was for Xiong Huang's for earth. It's too late. At the same time, Lin Ling's voice floated in the sky above the rainforest. The sky was still silent, but the laughter of the past and the faces of old friends seemed to have quietly appeared in the sky. Xiong to Xiong Xiong of Xiong. Xiong 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 Xiongs. Xiong Xiong Xiong. Sun Bone, Luo Sha Thorn. Lin Ling appeared in the universal primal chaos with an extremely cold expression. The Empress Dowager was Lin Ling's greatest enemy. However, it was clear that the Empress Dowager wasn't targeting the Rainforest Holy Land on purpose. Instead, it was Sun Bone and Sun Bone who Lin Ling wanted to kill the most. Therefore, Lin Ling did not go to the Flame World Fragment and went to find the Sun Bone alone. Right now, while his strength had increased greatly, he had too many enemies, so he did not plan on letting Old Ancestor Great Flame and the others return. It would be safer in the Flame World Fragment. Ancient runes were still floating in the sky of the green region. Vaguely, a gigantic divine bell was guarding the land, and wisps of ancient power were quietly spreading out. After the Azure Thearka's Imperial Jade Seal appeared, Qing Province was obviously different from before. That was because Emperor Qing had also disappeared. Thus, the Azure Province also became a chaotic world. Heroes rose together, and the matter of who would become the Azure Emperor was also the most important matter for millions of people. The Four-Ring City was still bustling with people. As the closest ancient city to the Five-Ring City in the Qing Province, this was a place that countless experts dreamed of. Only by traversing through this place could one reach the pinnacle of the Qing Province, the Five-Ring City. At this moment, the entire city was livelier than before. In a certain restaurant, it was packed with people. I didn't expect to come to the Four-Ring City in my lifetime. Yes, this is a kind of recognition of strength, but this Four-Ring City is really full of experts, and the strongest is the Four Symbols Divine Palace. I heard that in this year, something big happened in the Four Symbols Divine Palace. There are two people from the Black Warrior Divine Palace who want to become one of the Qing Province's 9 Great Heavens, the Black Warrior Institute Principal's daughter, Xian Linglong, and a genius called Meng Lu. Especially that Meng Lu, he has the highest chance of becoming one of the Qing Province's 9 Great Heavens. Xian Linglong's background is not small. It's normal for her to want to become one of the Qing Province's 9 Great Heavens. But who is this Meng Lu? In the past, he was the strongest second generation, but his cultivation speed is the fastest. Not long ago, he became a first-generation genius, but now, he has already swept through many first-generation geniuses. Tsk, looks like the Black Warrior Divine Palace has good eyesight, recruiting such a talented genius, but the Azure Dragon Divine Palace is not weak either. What's wrong with the Azure Dragon Divine Palace? A flurry of discussion could be heard in the restaurant. When the Azure Dragon Manor was mentioned, everyone's ears perked up. Sun Bone is going to become the Azure Dragon King's adopted son today. Finally, the cultivator who heard the news said with a smile. Sun Bone, one of the Qing Province's 9 Great Heavens, the former Grand Court County's #1 genius. It's a pity that after the Grand Court County was destroyed, his reputation declined greatly. However, I heard that Sun Bone obtained the Son of Heaven's mandate, so the Azure Dragon King took him in as his adopted son in order to curry favor with him. With the Azure Dragon King, Sun Bone can do whatever he wants in the Qing Province. This is called mutual benefit. Hearing this, the restaurant burst into an uproar. Tsk, just a coward. But soon, a mocking voice sounded in the restaurant, silencing the restaurant. Everyone looked at the person who spoke and saw that it was a young man. This young man had guts, daring to mock the Azure Dragon Divine Palace and Sun Bone in the Four-Ring City. Take back your words, otherwise, I don't mind you staying here forever. However, someone immediately retorted. It was obvious that this person was Sun Bone's supporter. Am I wrong? If Sun Bone was a man, he would have stood up when his Grand Court County was destroyed. Unfortunately, his Grand Court County was destroyed, so he could only run away with his tail between his legs. Moreover, the so-called Sun Bone, Meng Lu, and other geniuses are like fireflies compared to that legendary person. The young man laughed as he drank his wine. You're so arrogant, I wonder who is this legendary person you're talking about? Many people were dissatisfied. Sun Bone's name shook the Qing province, yet he was being trampled on like this, infuriating many people. Lin Ling. The young man put down his wine cup, enunciating each word. The entire restaurant fell silent in an instant. Who in the Qing province didn't know Lin Ling's name? Chapter 2881. Immortal Plum Sword, one of the top 10 sword immortals of Qingzhou. If it's Lin Ling, then he deserves it. Some of the older martial artists nodded their heads. At first, they thought that the young man's words were too arrogant. Later, when they found out that he worshipped Lin Ling, they didn't think that the young man was arrogant, because it was all the truth. Of course, the supporters of the Sun Bone had ugly expressions. You're from Resplendent Academy, right? No wonder you're speaking up for Lin Ling. But he's just a dead man. What right does he have to be proud? That's right. No matter how powerful a genius is, once he's dead, he's just a pile of dirt. Who knows, Lin Ling's ashes might have been among the bricks I stepped on yesterday. Lin Ling is trash. In the past, he could only rely on his rallying power to destroy a country. Would he dare to face senior brother Sun Bone one-on-one? He wouldn't dare. The supporters of the Sun Bone roared with laughter. Bang! Hearing this, the young man slammed the table and glared at the group of people. The people beside him, who were also from Resplendent Academy, stood up one by one. Your mouths are too smelly. Take back your words, or don't blame me for being ruthless. Cold voices came out of their mouths. So what if I say it? Are you saying that we're not allowed to speak the truth? But who knew that the other party wasn't afraid at all? Instead, they laughed even more savagely. How can you be so sure that senior brother Lin Ling is dead? No one knows if he's alive or dead. If you don't have evidence, don't talk nonsense. Take back your words. I won't take it back. Keep bragging. Lin Ling is dead. He's dead. He's dead. He's just a pile of bones. Haha. The young geniuses on both sides were at each other's throats. As for the people from Resplendent Academy, they couldn't hold back anymore and attacked. Moreover, they were stronger. After a few of them attacked, they immediately subdued the other party. Then, they said indifferently, slap your own mouth and I'll let you leave. The supporters of the Sun Bone didn't expect this group of people to be so strong. Their faces were extremely ugly. If they slapped their own mouths in Fourth Ring City, they would definitely become the laughingstock of the academy when they returned. Their junior brothers would also look down on them. But if they didn't fight, their situation would be even more troublesome. Just as they were about to make their decision, a cold voice suddenly rang out, "You won't even tell me the truth? This Resplendent Academy has produced a tyrannical Lin Ling. Now, junior brother is also learning how to be tyrannical." In the corner of the restaurant, a middle-aged woman was calmly drinking tea and speaking without looking at the crowd. However, everyone sensed that this woman's strength was very strong. She was not someone they could provoke. We were telling the truth before. The Sun Bone Nation was destroyed, and he could only leave with his tail between his legs. But they objected, saying that Lin Ling was dead. Whether or not Lin Ling is dead has not been confirmed, so they should be the ones telling the truth. The young man from the Resplendent Academy frowned as he looked at the woman. However, there was a hint of respect in his eyes. Clearly, they were trying to reason with her, trying to make her distinguish between right and wrong. I say, how dare you resist? Your mouths are too dirty. The woman frowned as she drank her tea. Then she stretched out her hand and waved it in the air. Paw! Crisp slaps rang out. The geniuses from the Resplendent Academy were all slapped in the face. Senior, you. The young men's faces darkened. Being slapped in public was too embarrassing. Give them a few more slaps so that they will remember this. However, the woman's voice was very sinister as she said indifferently. Yes, senior. Hee, the few of you better take back what you said before. Otherwise, my slaps are not to be trifled with. The supporters of the Sun Bone Nation sneered. As for the geniuses from the Resplendent Academy, they gritted their teeth. They did not know why the woman was targeting them. However, even if the woman was very strong, they still stubbornly refused to speak. One must know that in the Resplendent Academy, Lin Ling was everyone's idol. Not only the third generation, second generation, and first generation, but even the elders and principal of the academy were full of praise for Lin Ling. Therefore, they could not bring themselves to mock their idol. Chapter 2882. You must commit suicide. Did you hear her? Did you see her? Do you know who she is? Sensing the woman's identity, the Sunbone supporters began to clamor and clamor. Pa! However, when they thought that the cloaked man would be afraid, the cloaked man swung his palm once again, landing heavily on the faces of the supporters. You! Their pupils constricted. The people in the restaurant also sucked in cold breaths. They thought that with the appearance of the immortal plum sword, the cloaked man would definitely give them face. But who knew that not only did the cloaked man not give her face, he even hit the person she wanted to protect in front of the immortal plum sword. Bang! The immortal plum sword slammed the table as well, and an imposing aura that was like the might of the heavens spread out. Sir, you're not giving me any face at all. Her voice was laced with anger. However, the cloaked person walked towards the immortal plum sword. His pace was not fast, but it caused the restaurant to instantly fall silent. Could it be that he's going to apologize? I think so. Maybe he has to kneel down and apologize. Many people were secretly guessing. Even the immortal plum sword did not understand what the other party wanted to do. The cloaked man had already arrived in front of the immortal plum sword, as if he was a stone statue, motionless. Just as the immortal plum sword was about to open its mouth to reprimand the cloaked man, a palm shot out like lightning. Pa! A deafening slap resounded in the restaurant once again. And this time, it was the immortal plum sword that was hit. This time, even the immortal plum sword was stunned. He couldn't understand why the other party would provoke him for no reason and even dare to slap his face. You're courting death. The disciple of the immortal plum sword shouted loudly. However, the immortal plum sword stopped him. She looked at the cloaked man indifferently and said, You are only at the 10th level of the true God realm. Although you have some ability, you are looking down on Mount Tai and Northern Dipper. I will give you a chance. If you tell me the reason why you hit me, I might spare your life. To be honest, I really underestimated you. The cloaked man opened his mouth and slowly removed the cloak on his head. As for the reason why I hit you, it's very simple. It's because I'm Lin Ling. When the cloak was removed, the restaurant became even quieter. The eyes of the immortal plum sword widened. Lin Ling, it was actually Lin Ling. In the past few years, Lin Ling had disappeared without a trace. She thought that Lin Ling had been killed by a magnate from the Qing province. But now, the person who had stirred up Qingzhou a few years ago had appeared before her eyes once again. Lin Ling, he's Lin Ling. As for the Sunbone supporters, all of their faces turned pale. Of course, they knew how strong Lin Ling was, but they also thought that Lin Ling was dead, so they dared to be arrogant. He's senior brother Lin Ling. Compared to their ashen faces, the geniuses of the Resplendent Academy had excited smiles on their faces. They had already heard of the name Lin Ling countless times. The elders of the academy had also told them to take Lin Ling as their role model and study hard. And now, the idol of all the geniuses of the Resplendent Academy had appeared in front of them. So handsome. Among the few of them, a girl's heart was beating violently. The supporters of the Sun Bone and the Immortal Plum Sword. He was lawless and unrestrained. This was the legendary senior brother Lin Ling. However, it was no wonder that Lin Ling would appear. This was because these people were mocking Lin Ling. He was simply courting death. Immortal Plum Sword, what do you have to say now? Lin Ling didn't know what the crowd was thinking. Even if he knew, he wouldn't care. He looked coldly at the Immortal Plum Sword. Looking at the calm and cold eyes, the Immortal Plum Sword panicked. In fact, after Lin Ling destroyed the two large commanderies, she knew that Lin Ling wasn't someone she could provoke. Therefore, after the incident, she had been hiding in the myriad of worlds. After she knew that Lin Ling was missing and might even be dead, she dared to return. Now that she saw him again, she had a feeling that Lin Ling was the sky above her, someone she had to look up to. "How dare you hit my master?" However, she didn't dare to speak. Instead, the young man beside her shouted angrily. In his opinion, his master was omnipotent. The young man in front of him was simply courting death. However, when he spoke, the people in the restaurant shook their heads secretly. This young man was too stupid. Everyone knew that the immortal plum sword and Lin Ling had a grudge. Now that the immortal plum sword didn't dare to speak, the young man still dared to scold Lin Ling. He was simply impudent. Of course, Lin Ling's gaze also looked at the young man. He smiled coldly and said, "Young man, I'm afraid you don't know that your master had two peerless geniuses in the past." "I know. Those two senior brothers and senior sister are people I have to look up to for my entire life." "Why, are you afraid?" The young man puffed out his chest and said, as if he wanted the immortal plum sword to know how strong his backbone was. "Then how do you know who killed them?" Lin Ling asked again. Then, he saw the young man frown and shook his head. "They both died in my hands. Even your senior sister framed my wife, causing her to not return until now. Therefore, the people you said I have to look up to are actually just a pile of bones." At the end, Lin Ling's voice became cold. "Master, help me." That voice finally made the young man a little afraid. However, the immortal plum sword still didn't dare to speak and remained silent. This time, the young man's face turned pale. Could it be that the young man in front of him was the murderer of his senior brothers and senior sisters? When his master saw this young man, not only did she not dare to draw her sword, she didn't even dare to speak. To him, this was too unreal. "I see that you are young, so I'll give you a chance. Never step into Qingzhou again and then scram. Otherwise, you will die." Lin Ling finally revealed his killing intent. However, he didn't kill the young man. After all, he didn't like to kill the innocent. "Master, The young man was immediately put in a difficult position. Lin Ling was threatening him in front of his master. "Qingzhou, you can leave." However, the immortal plum sword sighed softly and said slowly. This sentence made the young man's expression change drastically. His master was indeed afraid of Lin Ling. What was ironic was that she actually dared to reprimand Lin Ling. "Lin Ling, he has no enmity with you. Please let him go. Moreover, I only just recruited him. There is no such thing as a master and disciple relationship." The immortal plum sword looked at Lin Ling and said. Lin Ling nodded and said, "I know that. Therefore, I will let him go. However, you must commit suicide." Hearing this, the immortal plum sword's face turned pale. She knew that Lin Ling was back. All the old and new grudges were settled by Lin Ling. "Of course, you can also fight with me. However, if you lose, both of you will die. You can choose for yourself." Lin Ling said again. "I don't want to fight. Let him go. I will commit suicide." The immortal plum sword sighed. Although Lin Ling was only in the 10th stage of the true god realm, she felt that she was definitely not a match for Lin Ling. Therefore, if she fought, not only would she die, but the young man would also die. Chapter 2883. The undercurrent was surging. "I promise you." Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded again. "Thank you, but I won't implicate your family. You, Lin Ling, are much better than those big shots in Qing province. At least you know that there is a perpetrator for every grievance and a debtor for every debt. Also, I am very sorry about what happened in the rainforest. They are obviously innocent, but your enemies are not as clear as you." The immortal plum sword's gaze revealed a sigh as she quietly looked at Lin Ling. "The first time I saw you, you were the opponent of my eldest disciple, Si Xuanmei, but you defeated her. The second time I saw you, you killed another disciple that I was proud of. This third time, I didn't think that I would be no match for you. Lin Ling, your growth is too fast. Of course, if you want to kill me, I won't blame you. Because, I provoked you first. So, I hope that in our next life, we can be friends. Leaving behind the last sentence, the immortal plum sword pulled out her own sword and slit her throat. Then, she fell to the ground, and a stream of blood spilled onto the ground like a plum blossom. An ancient figure whose name shook the entire Qing province had committed suicide in this restaurant. Master. The young man cried out in pain. Take your master's sword and leave this place. Don't even think about revenge. First, you will never be my match. Second, this is between me and your master. It has nothing to do with you. Lin Ling didn't even look at the young man as he turned and left. I know, I will never step into Qing province again. The young man carried the immortal plum sword's corpse and left. However, there was no hatred in his eyes when he looked at Lin Ling. This was because he knew from his master that his master was willing to commit suicide. It was also because his master provoked Lin Ling first. Seeing the Qing province's 10 great sword immortals commit suicide, the people in the restaurant were also shocked. Lin Ling was already strong to such an extent. Relying on his spirit, he defeated an ancient expert without a fight. Senior Lin Ling, we were wrong before. Please forgive us. When Lin Ling walked over, the supporters of the Sun Bone didn't dare to say anything. They all bowed and saluted. They only dared to talk behind his back, but when a legendary character appeared in front of them, they didn't even dare to fart. Look up. Lin Ling said indifferently, causing those people to quickly raise their heads. Then, Lin Ling swung his palm, and the powerful force sent those people flying. They smashed into the wall, and even their teeth were spat out. You're just a bunch of trash, yet you dare to be so arrogant. Lin Ling mocked in disdain. He then turned to the youths from the resplendent academy and smiled. That smile of his caused their faces to turn red with excitement. Greetings, senior brother Lin Ling. They all bowed and said. Lord Shi Yuhu said so earlier. At the rainforest market, Falling Flowers, Flowing Water Sword, Tang Yue, and the others also received the news. Just as they received the news, a figure rushed in from the main door. It was Gong Yangjiang. He laughed loudly and said, Boss Lin Ling is back. Senior Sunset Glory told my father. We've known for a long time, and we're guessing that Lord Lin Ling is heading to the Azure Dragon Manor. Falling Flowers, Flowing Sword and the others replied with a smile, making Gong Yangjiang feel depressed. He wanted to see these old fellows' shocked faces, but in the end, someone else received the news faster than him. But, Lin Ling actually went to the Azure Dragon Manor, and he didn't call any of the seniors. This seems a little troublesome. Among the crowd, the 9 spirits of heaven said with a frown. The moment her words fell, the others frowned as well. The Azure Dragon Manor was a bigger force than the Grand Court Commandery, with as many experts as the clouds. In the past, when Lin Ling massacred the Grand Court Commandery, he called everyone over, but this time, he actually went to the Azure Dragon Manor alone? Lord is probably going to take revenge for the Rainforest Holy Ground, so he wants to settle it alone. Let's hurry over as well. That's right, Lord Shi Yuhu and the others should be rushing over as well. Falling Flowers, Flowing Sword and the others exchanged a few words, then quickly left. At this moment, because of Lin Ling's appearance in the Azure State, undercurrents were surging. Even Lin Ling noticed the dark clouds in the sky. He naturally knew that his friends had received the news of his return, but he really wanted to take revenge for the Rainforest Holy Ground alone. Gradually, a towering wall appeared in front of them, like a green dragon crouching on the ground. That was the Azure Dragon Manor. As one of the 4 overlords of the 4-ring city, the Azure Dragon Manor was as vast as the Imperial Palace. Chapter 2884. The overlords of the Green Prefecture have gathered. Who's there? Someone from the Azure Dragon Divine Manor noticed Lin Ling's arrival. The huge city gates opened, and figures rushed out. These were all true Immortal Realm experts. If they were placed in Third Ring City, Second Ring City, and other places, each of them would be an ambitious and ruthless existence. From this, one could see the Azure Dragon Divine Manor's foundation. Scram if you don't want to die. Lin Ling walked forward step by step. His long hair draped over his shoulders. Flames surged around him. You're courting death. One of them, a middle-aged man clad in dragon-scale armor, roared and leaped into the air. He transformed into a dragon and charged towards the young man on the ground with a long spear that resembled an azure dragon. Time's up. Those who block my way will die. Lin Ling did not raise his head to look at the middle-aged man. He continued to walk forward and threw out a punch. Rumble. The surging world essence turned into a huge flaming fist. He did not need to use any martial arts, but it was enough to destroy everything in its path. Pop. 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 Wherever the flaming fist passed, the Azure Dragon was crushed. The experts who rushed out from the Divine Manor were all turned into ashes. Moreover, the fist did not stop there. It slammed into the Azure Dragon ancient wall, causing it to pause for a moment. Then, the wall collapsed and a slender figure stepped into the Azure Dragon Divine Manor. Who is that? What terrifying strength! I heard that it's Lin Ling. Not long ago, someone saw him in a restaurant in the Fourth Ring City. I also heard that he came for Sunbone. I don't know if it's true or not, but if it's really Lin Ling, then Sunbone won't be able to escape this calamity. Yeah, Sunbone said 3 months ago that the Rainforest Holy Land was destroyed because of him. Lin Ling destroyed his country, and he destroyed Lin Ling's world. Sunbone is really ruthless. How many people did he destroy? However, when Lin Ling destroyed his country, Sunbone did not dare to say a word. Now, when Sunbone destroyed his world, Lin Ling dared to come knocking on his door. The 9 great heavens of the Green Prefecture are no match for Lin Ling. Far away from the Four-Ring City, experts from various factions appeared in the sky, conversing with each other with grave expressions. Within the Azure Dragon Manor, Lin Ling strode forward with the demeanor of an expert. Many people from the Azure Dragon Divine Manor rushed out of the city walls, but none of them dared to approach Lin Ling. Isn't that Lin Ling? Someone recognized Lin Ling and let out a sharp cry. They didn't think that Lin Ling was still alive, and even dared to come to the Azure Dragon Divine Mansion. Most importantly, Lin Ling came alone, without summoning those experts. Lin Ling dared to come alone, which made them think that Lin Ling was courting death. At this moment, in the center of the square, a large number of people were sitting there, drinking wine and chatting wittily. Among them, a young man with long golden hair was undoubtedly the main character today, and he was Sunbone. In the past, when the Grand Court Commandery was destroyed, he fled with shame. Later on, when Lin Ling disappeared, he thought that Lin Ling should be dead. Therefore, he gradually surfaced and even started to become famous in the Azure Prefecture. It was also because he had received a Son of Heaven's mandate that his future was boundless, and he even had the chance to become the Azure Emperor. Thinking that he could rule the Azure Prefecture in the future, he was incomparably excited. In the crowd, Lin Ling also looked at Sunbone. Especially when he saw the Sunbone as if he was the ruler of the world, he revealed a mocking smile. In the past, when he led people to massacre the Grand Court Commandery, Sunbone didn't even dare to fart. He didn't even dare to provoke him directly. He only dared to use the Empress Dowager's hand to destroy the Rainforest Sacred Land. How could such a person be qualified to call himself one of the 9 heavens of the Azure Prefecture? How could he be qualified to receive a Son of Heaven's mandate? Coward. Lin Ling couldn't help but secretly mock him. What did you say? However, at the side, someone immediately glared at Lin Ling and mocked, do you only dare to hide in the crowd and curse senior brother Sunbone? You have no backbone at all. A person like you will only be like this for the rest of your life. Obviously, this was also a genius who came from the same academy as Sunbone. I will only be like this? Lin Ling's eyes darted around. He couldn't be bothered to explain anything. With just a glance, the young man who spoke didn't dare to look at Lin Ling again. He subconsciously lowered his head and his face turned pale. This was because Lin Ling's gaze was very cold, mixed with a thick murderous intent. This made him realize that the young man beside him was a decisive person. Thank you for your love. Today, Sunbone and I are becoming in-laws. He will be my adopted son. Chapter 2885. Dream Flow's Provocation. Congratulations, congratulations. The overlords cupped their hands and bowed. The Azure Dragon King of the past couldn't be underestimated. Now that he had the Sunbone, he was like a tiger that had grown wings. If the Sunbone became deity Qing, the Azure Dragon King might become the Grand Emperor. Sunbone, everyone should be familiar with him. He's one of the 9 great heavens of Qing Prefecture and the #1 genius of Heavenly Saint Academy. He's young, but his strength has already caught up to all the heroes. Even deity Qing praised him and gave him the fate of the Son of Heaven. Among the 20 fate of the Son of Heaven, he's the one most likely to become deity Qing. Deity Qing, the deity of the inheritance of the god, ruled over the power of the ancient times. Even he thinks highly of my son, Sunbone. From what I see, the position of deity Qing belongs to my son, Sunbone. The rumbling voice floated out, making many people nod their heads. The Azure Dragon King couldn't help but laugh. Sunbone had been perfectly molded. His heart of martial arts, talent, and character were all top-notch. In ancient times, a dragon had 9 sons, and the 9 sons were divided into different grades. Needless to say, the selection for the throne was also divided into different grades. Sunbone was the best choice. That's true. Courage, talent, heart of martial arts, and character are all good. Some of the old monsters of Qing Prefecture looked at Sunbone and nodded in agreement. Sunbone had been famous in Qing Prefecture for a long time. He had defeated many ancient legends, so they were all convinced. At this moment, many voices rang out quietly. They were all words of flattery. Sunbone, who was sitting on the main seat, smiled and nodded. His golden hair danced in the wind. He looked forward to the future, when he could rule the Qing continent and fight against the cultivators of the 9 continents. What a nest of snakes and rats. Don't you think it's shameless to flatter each other? Don't you think it's embarrassing? However, just as everyone agreed, a mocking voice rang out. This time, everyone frowned. Today was the big day for the Azure Dragon King and Sunbone. They had become father and son and cooperated with each other. They also called on all the overlords of Qing Prefecture to join Sunbone's camp. However, at such a crucial moment, someone was causing trouble. Among the crowd, a young man with long white hair slowly walked out. This person was also wearing a long white robe. His long hair flowed freely, giving off an extremely mysterious feeling. How dare you! The experts of the Azure Dragon Divine Mansion roared in anger. Who is this? How bold! He actually dares to mock the 9 heavens of the Qing province. The crowd also stared at the young man, their brows tightly knitted together. So it's you, the defeated Dream Flow. In the chairman's seat, Sunbone, who had been enraged, suddenly smiled. He had recognized who this person was. Dreamstream? Could it be that genius who wants to obtain the 9 heavenly emblems of Qing province? No wonder he came out. It turns out that he doesn't agree with the Sunbone. However, he was defeated by the Sunbone. Now that he has come out to speak, he lacks some credibility. Many people looked at Dreamflow and said, if Dreamflow was someone else, he would have the right to speak. However, he was defeated by the Sun Bone. His words gave the impression that he was trying to frame the Sun Bone. He wanted the Sun Bone's reputation to plummet so that he, Dream Flow, could obtain the position of the 9 heavenly emblems of Qing province. However, the crowd's mocking gazes did not anger Dream Flow in the slightest. He said indifferently, Sun Bone, I haven't seen you for a long time, but you're getting more and more arrogant. However, don't you think it's despicable to lie through your teeth? Or do you think that you're the most qualified person to become the Azure Emperor after bewitching everyone? Dream Flow, I know what you're planning, but you'd better not waste your time. I, Sun Bone, have never said that I'm the most qualified person to become the Azure Emperor. However, for the sake of the Azure Emperor's position, I'll work hard. I'll do everything I can in my life. Sun Bone sat calmly, exuding the aura of an expert. A cultivator must have a goal. Although it's not guaranteed that you'll reach your goal, at least you'll work hard. That's the only way to live a life that isn't in vain. A life that isn't in vain. Well said. Based on this sentence alone, I think Sun Bone has the most hope of becoming the Azure Emperor. When Sun Gu's voice faded, cheers rang out from all around. A cultivator must have a goal. Although it's not guaranteed that you'll reach your goal, at least you'll work hard. That's the only way to live a life that isn't in vain. Such a carefree person was indeed worthy of being one of the 9 great heavens of the Qing province. You're better at talking than singing. I really admire your character. At this moment, Dream Flow laughed mockingly, causing Lin Ling, who was in the crowd, to frown. He did not expect Dream Flow's character to be so calm. If he did not like Dream Flow, he would immediately attack. However, compared to the last time they met, Dream Flow's strength had greatly increased this time. Dream Flow is indeed worthy of being one of the 9 province's 10 evils. His character is just like mine, daring to take responsibility for his actions. Lin Ling thought to himself. He had no intention of stepping forward for the time being. However, since you're the most likely to become the Azure Emperor and also have the domineering character of an emperor, let me ask Senior Sun Bone, is there anyone you're afraid of in your life? Dream Flow laughed and asked again. You've hit the nail on the head. A cultivator naturally has people he's afraid of in his life. Sun Bone took a sip of wine and replied indifferently. Among the 9 great heavens of the Qing province, there's someone he's afraid of. That's impossible. To become the strongest genius of the Qing province, one should be fearless and courageous. As soon as Sun Bone's words fell, the crowd began to discuss animatedly. A true genius was invincible, indomitable, and fearless of any powerhouse. If one did not have such a mentality, one would only be mediocre and would not be able to become a top genius of the Qing province. The person I'm afraid of is myself. However, Sun Bone's next sentence made the crowd feel as if they were struck by lightning. They never thought that Sun Bone was afraid of themselves. This meant that Sun Bone had been fearless his entire life. He was not even afraid of the geniuses of the 9 province. His only opponent was himself. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you'll be victorious in every battle. This sentence sounded simple, but how many people in the 9 province could be familiar with themselves and surpass themselves time and time again? Good, the greatest enemy of a cultivator's life is himself. As expected of Sun Bone. This means that even the Azure Emperor can't pressure Sun Bone. Sun Bone is not afraid of the Azure Emperor. What Sun Bone wants to do is to constantly surpass himself. Did you hear that? Sun Bone can become one of the 9 great heavens of the Qing province. His character and heart of the martial Tao are all exemplary. You should learn from Sun Bone. Voices of reverence rang out. Even the elders of the Heavenly Saint Academy took the opportunity to give pointers to the geniuses of the academy. We understand. The geniuses looked at Sun Bone in admiration and nodded. Chapter 2886. Rage from Shame. Clap, clap, clap. At this moment, Meng Lu clapped his hands. Well said, well said. Now you know the difference between you and me. Sunbone thought that Meng Lu was convinced. There is indeed a difference between us, but is your character really that good? Meng Lu's expression was calm as he looked at the crowd. I want to ask everyone, if your clan is massacred, how will you react? Nonsense, we'll kill the enemy with our swords. Nonsense. Clan enmity is irreconcilable. Is there even a need to say this? Nonsense. Many people looked at Meng Lu with disdain, feeling that he was simply saying some childish words. It seems that you are all hot-blooded men, but as far as I know, your son Bone doesn't dare say a single word when faced with clan enmity. He can only run away with his tail between his legs. How can someone like this have the most perfect character? Meng Lu suddenly said, causing the entire plaza to fall silent. The corners of Sun Bone's eyes twitched, and his expression became unsightly. What nonsense are you spouting? Nonsense. However, someone immediately shouted angrily at Meng Lu. What? You won't even tell the truth? Sun Bone secretly ordered you to do this, right? Meng Lu said with a faint smile. He wouldn't stop until he shocked everyone to death. Shut up. Nonsense. A young man leaped out from the side of the plaza. He had a cultivation of the 7th level of the true god realm and wasn't weak. After he appeared, he attacked Meng Lu domineeringly. You won't let me speak? Are you trying to silence me by killing me? Meng Lu smiled calmly and didn't resist, allowing that person to attack him. However, when that person approached him, a strange aura spread out, and his soul was instantly extracted by Meng Lu. Bang! That soul was simultaneously crushed by Meng Lu, and that person stood in the plaza like a stone statue, completely dead. You dare attack me with this level of strength? Nonsense. Meng Lu shook his head in disdain, then looked at Sun Bone and said, Sun Bone, you should find someone stronger. Moreover, you should be clear about my strength. Ordinary exceptional talents aren't my match, but you, Sun Bone, knew this, yet you didn't warn that person before. From this, it can be seen how despicable your character is. Shut. Shut up. Shut. Taiyang Bone could no longer maintain his calm and shouted angrily. You don't want me to talk. Unfortunately, I had to say it. Meng Lu took a step forward and laughed heartily. In the past, Lin Ling led a group of experts to Tating Commandery and destroyed the commandery right in front of Sun Bone. But our Sun Bone, who is most likely to become Emperor Qing, didn't do anything. In front of Lin Ling, he could only obediently keep his mouth shut. He didn't even dare to resist. Such a person dares to say that he's fearless and only afraid of himself? And as far as I know, Lin Ling's rainforest Holy Land was destroyed because Sun Bone asked others for help. What a joke. You only dare to ask others for help to take revenge for your family. Even if it's an old man in his 80s or 90s, he still has more backbone than you. Dreamflow's words were like a barrage of cannons, bombarding Sun Bone's face until it was extremely gloomy. Whispers could be heard all around the square. Not long ago, Sun Bone had proudly said that in his entire life, he feared himself and wanted to surpass himself. But now, weren't these words slapping his own face? Meng Lu, you're talking nonsense. Sun Bone sensed the strange gazes around him, and he was so angry that he was boiling. Today was the day that his name would shake the entire Azure province. He was also telling everyone that he, Sun Bone, was the most likely to become Emperor Qing. However, Meng Lu had come to make trouble and hit him when he was down. Not only was he unable to be proud, but he was even more humiliated. A person who wanted to become Emperor Qing had his country destroyed, but he didn't dare to resist. Such a person could only be called a coward. What's wrong? Senior brother Sun Bone, are you angry because I've hit your sore spot? Meng Lu continued to hit him when he was down. He looked at the geniuses who admired Sun Bone and asked, may I ask if your senior brother is a man? Hearing this, those geniuses were speechless. They couldn't answer anything. For a moment, the entire square was filled with whispers. Although no one dared to laugh at Sun Bone, it was obvious that their gazes had quietly changed. Meng Lu, this is the Azure Dragon Manor. Don't be so shameless. The Azure Dragon King sensed the strange atmosphere around him and let out a low growl. Sun Bone had lost face, and the Azure Dragon Manor had also lost face. Azure Dragon Manor, the overlord of the Four-Ring City, but the current manor lord is also a coward. Let me ask you, after your son's death, do you know the murderer? Who would have thought that not only was Meng Lu unafraid, he even laughed loudly. Are you going to shut up? At the mention of his son, the Azure Dragon King's lungs almost exploded. Azure Dragon King, you definitely know who the murderer is. Even the people here know, but knowing is one thing. Do you dare to take revenge? Meng Lu continued, you don't dare. You and Sun Bone are the same, only putting on an act in front of outsiders, saying how powerful you are, but in reality, you're nothing but a coward, trash. What's ironic is that two cowards are actually worshipped and respected by the Azure Province's overlords. Could it be that all the Azure Province's overlords are cowards? Meng Lu's voice grew louder with each sentence, causing everyone's face to turn green with anger. Enough, you're spouting nonsense here. What are your intentions? Did the Black Warrior Manor send you here? I know, you want to become one of the Azure Province's 9 great heavens, but you're not Sun Bone's opponent, so you're slandering him. You want to help the Black Warrior Manor suppress the Azure Dragon Manor, so you're slandering the Azure Dragon Manor. Meng Lu, your intentions are too vicious, don't think everyone is unaware. At this time, an old man beside the Azure Dragon King stepped out. Obviously, he had received the Azure Dragon King's order to stop Meng Lu from doing whatever he wanted, otherwise, their Azure Dragon Manor would have no face to see others in the future. Slander? Haha. However, Meng Lu shook his head. The one who destroyed the Grand Court Commandery was Lin Ling, and the one who killed the Azure Dragon Manor's son was also Lin Ling. Yet, you're saying that I'm slandering. Do you have any shame? Do you have any shame? Meng Lu's last sentence shook the surroundings, echoing endlessly. Lin Ling? Everyone recalled this name repeatedly. Whether it was Sun Bone or the Azure Dragon Manor, Lin Ling had left them with great humiliation. If Sun Bone had the potential to become the Azure Emperor, then what about Lin Ling? Lin Ling was clearly above Sun Bone. Ironically, even though Lin Ling had accomplished such a feat, far surpassing Sun Bone, he would not be like Sun Bone, summoning the Azure Province's overlords to build his own reputation. In other words, a true dragon was low-key, while a cockroach was jumping up and down. What a foul mouth, what a vicious heart. I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of the Black Warrior Manor. Hearing Sun Bone's words, the old man bellowed, leaping out and attacking. Ha, awesome. Chapter 2887. I'm Lin Ling. Meng Lu's talent was terrifying and unmatched among the geniuses of the 3 academies. However, the old man was a first-level martial immortal and his power of the universe was extremely complete. He actually borrowed the power of the universe to grab Meng Lu. He obviously knew of Meng Lu's talent, so he didn't approach him. As a result, Meng Lu's talent couldn't be unleashed. In terms of other means, Meng Lu was only at the peak of the true god realm and was inferior to him. Bastard. Moreover, he wasn't the only one who attacked. The old woman on the other side also attacked. The two of them were obviously husband and wife and were highly respected in the Azure Dragon Manor. They were known as the Twin Crimson Dragons. When the old woman attacked, a crimson ancient dragon roared out. It was actually formed from the power of the universe and was extremely terrifying. Under the attacks of the two seniors, dark clouds rolled in the sky, causing the entire Four-Ring City to move. As for Meng Lu, the pressure on him increased. He didn't expect the Azure Dragon Manor to be so shameless. In order to deal with him, they actually let 2 first-level wuxing experts join forces. Your mouth stinks. I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your elders. The old woman said sarcastically. The Crimson Dragon swept towards Meng Lu's head. It looked like she was teaching him a lesson, but in reality, she wanted to kill him. What a pity. Meng Lu is also a rare genius in the Azure province and is only below Lin Ling. However, he's still a little weak against the Azure Dragon Manor and the Sun Bone alone. I know he's always admired Lin Ling and wants to surpass Lin Ling. Therefore, he dares to do what Lin Ling dares to do. However, he's not as powerful as Lin Ling. Meng Lu is probably going to die. Around the square, some of the overlords of the Azure province knew of the Azure Dragon King's schemes and shook their heads. However, just as the old woman's crimson dragon wrapped around Meng Lu, a long roar suddenly sounded. Brother Meng Lu, you're really brave. However, how can I miss out on such a thing? A black shadow shot out like a rock and appeared beside Meng Lu. It opened its palms wide, and it was incomparably domineering. It actually tore the crimson dragon apart. Soon after, a person wearing a large cloak appeared in the plaza, causing the plaza to become deathly silent. Everyone was greatly alarmed. This person's strength is so strong. He actually suppressed the attack of a martial immortal with his bare hands. How dare you meddle in the affairs of the Azure Dragon Divine Manor? The old woman roared angrily, her old face gloomy. Snakes and rats are really a nest of snakes and rats. Someone touched your sore spot, so you killed him to silence him. Your Azure Dragon Divine Manor is really a disgrace. The cloaked man spoke indifferently. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure moved and strangely appeared before the old woman. With a single punch, he blasted it out cleanly. In my opinion, the Azure Dragon Divine Manor is only a so-so. Rumble. That fist was terrifying to this extent, the world essence extremely great, making that old woman's pupils tremble. Who was this person? Why was he even more terrifying than Meng Lu? Boom. However, just as she was about to say something, the fist landed on her body, causing her body to tremble violently. Then, she directly exploded, her flesh and blood splattering everywhere. A martial immortal level expert had been killed just like that. Furthermore, he had been killed by a single fist strike. So strong. Everyone's hearts trembled, including Meng Lu. That was because he saw that the cloaked man's cultivation was the same as his. In fact, it seemed that the cloaked man's cultivation was slightly weaker than his. However, the cloaked man's cultivation was something that he could not defeat. Old woman. On the other side, the old man's eyes turned red. He never thought that killing Meng Lu would cause his wife to die. You'll pay with your life. The old man gave up on attacking Meng Lu and pounced toward the cloaked man. Be careful. Dreamy Flow subconsciously called out. Boom. However, just as his voice fell, the cloaked man had already attacked. His speed was extremely fast, the speed of the 9 realms. Moreover, it was still a single punch. With a single punch, he actually killed the old man who possessed 10% of the power of the universe. The twin crimson dragons had both died. As for the person who had taken their lives, he had only used 2 moves. Evidently, he was an overlord that could not be underestimated in the Azure province. Senior, thank you. Even Meng Lu was astonished by the cloaked man's strength. Sir, you killed my people in my Azure Dragon Divine Mansion. You are truly too arrogant. At that moment, the Azure Dragon King was naturally furious. However, Sun Gu waved his hand to stop him. Instead, he looked at the cloaked man and said, Sir, must you protect Meng Lu? Earlier, he misled the crowd with his lies and slandered our great Azure Dragon Divine Mansion. This is already a capital offense. If you insist on protecting him, be careful of provoking someone that you cannot afford to provoke. Seeing that the cloaked man was very powerful, he guessed that the cloaked man's origin was not small. Thus, he gave the cloaked man face and said those words. Haha. However, the cloaked man laughed wildly and slowly removed his cloak. First, he did not mislead the crowd with his lies. Second, you and the Azure Dragon Divine Mansion are not enough to make me feel fear. That's because I am Lin Ling. When the cloak was removed, a handsome face appeared in front of everyone, causing their hearts to beat violently. Lin Ling was back. He was not dead. Everyone looked at Sun Gu and then looked at Lin Ling. At that moment, their lips curled into a strange smile. Previously, Sun Gu would rather die than admit that he was afraid of Lin Ling. He also did not dare to admit that he had destroyed his country. Now, the murderer who destroyed his Grand Court Commandery had appeared, proving everything. Moreover, the Azure Dragon Divine Mansion was the same. Lin Ling had killed the Azure Dragon King's son, so the Azure Dragon King should hate him to the core. However, Lin Ling was still alive. Everything showed that they were afraid of Lin Ling. It's you. Meng Lu also stared at Lin Ling in disbelief. Then, he smiled bitterly. He was currently the most dazzling genius in Qingzhou. His rise was fast, and his name was known throughout Qingzhou. However, there was still one person above him, and that was Lin Ling. However, he was not convinced. He had always wanted to surpass Lin Ling. This was a kind of fighting spirit, an unyielding fighting spirit. However, the previous incident also proved that while Meng Lu's strength had increased greatly, Lin Ling had improved even more than him. At the very least, Meng Lu was helpless against the Red Dragon duo. On the other hand, Lin Ling killed them with 2 punches. Lin Ling, this has nothing to do with you. Get lost. Sun Gu and the Azure Dragon King stared at Lin Ling in disbelief, especially Sun Gu. He thought that Lin Ling had disappeared and was killed by the Empress Dowager. Now that he had appeared at their most glorious moment, they were undoubtedly furious. Lin Ling's appearance was definitely not a good thing. In fact, Lin Ling was their nightmare. In fact, they were not afraid of Lin Ling's strength. However, they had witnessed Lin Ling's charisma. It could be said that in the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, 40% of the powerhouses in Qingzhou would give face to Lin Ling. Therefore, they knew that Lin Ling was not someone they could provoke. Huh, Sun Gu, are you afraid of me? Chapter 2888. If you're not convinced, let's fight. Sun Bone, you're a coward. Do you think I, Lin Ling, don't know that you asked others to destroy my rainforest sacred land? When I destroyed your country, you didn't dare to confront me and only dared to do some cowardly things. But when you destroyed my rainforest sacred land, I, Lin Ling, am not as cowardly as you. I'm here today to kill you. Lin Ling's voice was like thunder from the heavens. It was different from Meng Lu's. He was straightforward and went straight to the point. This guy. Meng Lu's jaw dropped. He also didn't like Sun Bone, but he restrained his provocation. On the other hand, Lin Ling dared to confront him head-on. He was arrogant and overbearing. Even he felt ashamed of his inferiority. The grudge between the two of them isn't small. However, Sun Bone is one of the 9 heavens of Qingzhou. When his country was destroyed, he could only hide obediently. Lin Ling is different. When his country was destroyed, he immediately came to kill. This is how a cultivator should be. Yeah, Sun Bone said that he has the highest chance of becoming the Azure Emperor. But above him, Lin Ling is more qualified. The crowd also spoke up. They looked at the blue and white robe in the square with admiration in their eyes. Lin Ling, leave first. We'll settle our grudge another day. For now, the Azure Dragon Manor doesn't welcome you. Sun Bone stared at Lin Ling with an ugly expression. He couldn't wait to kill Lin Ling, but he didn't dare. He had a feeling that if he attacked Lin Ling, he would be killed before he could even touch Lin Ling. Therefore, even if he hated Lin Ling, he could only lower his voice. Sunbone, are you that afraid of me? If you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. Lin Ling said coldly. Was it possible for him to leave? Lin Ling, shut up. This is the Azure Dragon manner. Seeing Lin Ling's overbearing attitude, the Azure Dragon King roared. You shut up too. Unfortunately, Lin Ling wasn't afraid at all. He even looked at this big shot of Four-Ring City and sneered, You are the Azure Dragon King. Since when did you have to suck up to the 9 heavens of the Azure Province? Don't you feel ashamed? However, given your thick skin, you shouldn't feel that way. However, have you not considered the other 3 divine dwellings? They are as famous as you, but you have done such a lowly thing. They have also lost face. They are not as lowly as you. Their son died, and then they casually took a dog as their son. Enough. Hearing Lin Ling's words, the Azure Dragon King gritted his teeth. Enough? I haven't finished yet. Your son died in my hands. Now that the murderer is right in front of you, do you dare to kill him? Do you dare? Lin Ling took a step forward, his blue robe flapping loudly. He was asking the Azure Dragon King whether he dared or not. In the past, although he had no enmity with the Azure Dragon manor, the son of the Azure Dragon had provoked him and was killed in the end. Therefore, he knew that the Azure Dragon King would kill him no matter what. However, Lin Ling was too powerful, and the Azure Dragon King didn't dare to make a move. Therefore, Lin Ling had no reason to fear him. Lin Ling, you are only relying on the lords behind you. If not, you are nothing. Don't be too arrogant. Sunbone lost his mind when he saw that Lin Ling had snatched his stage. I, Lin Ling, am relying on the lords behind me? Lin Ling laughed even louder. Sunbone wanted to preserve his last bit of reputation and trample on Lin Ling at the same time. However, was Sunbone qualified? I, Lin Ling, came from the sacred land of the rainforest. When I first arrived in Qingzhou, no one knew me. I relied on my perseverance and strength to make a name for myself. But what about you, Sunbone? Who are the people behind you? Do you dare to say that you relied on your own strength to make a name for yourself? Lin Ling said word by word. Sunbone opened his mouth, but he couldn't refute him. The others nodded secretly. Lin Ling wasn't famous at all in the beginning. He did rely on himself to rise step by step. Gradually, he was noticed by the great Azure Divine Dynasty. It could be said that Lin Ling relied on his own blood, sweat, and perseverance to reach where he was today. Sunbone was born with a golden spoon in his mouth. He was the #1 genius of the 4 great commanderies. He didn't lack cultivation resources. The big shots also gave him face and allowed him to rise rapidly. Therefore, when comparing the two, how could the Sunbone compare to Lin Ling? Now, Sunbone still had the nerve to say that Lin Ling relied on the people behind him. How ironic. Moreover, the two of them had different starting points and had different achievements. Lin Ling could make the big shots of Qingzhou give him face, but Sunbone couldn't. He could only call on people like the Azure Dragon King. How could he have the nerve to say that? For a moment, the Azure Dragon Manor and Sunbone were speechless from the humiliation. The humiliation he had just suffered was even more severe than the blow brought about by the dream stream. Lin Ling, what a good guy. You stole the Azure Emperor's Imperial Jade Seal and became famous in Qingzhou. Is that why you're so arrogant? The Azure Dragon King is a righteous person. You killed his son, but he didn't take revenge on you. Instead, you're seeking revenge. Aren't you too petty? Or do you think you're a big shot in Qingzhou? At this moment, a sarcastic voice rang out. Among the crowd, a middle-aged man was drinking tea as he spoke as if he was talking to himself. This person was the housekeeper of the Thunder Sound Manor. He was here to represent the Thunder Sound Manor. Chapter 2889. Against the 9 heavens of the Azure province. Humph, you have the nerve to say that? How long has Sun Bone cultivated? How long has Lin Ling cultivated? Is it fair to have them fight face to face? As soon as he finished speaking, Meng Lu also spoke. He knew what those people were up to. If Lin Ling fell for it, he would be in trouble. Lin Ling was no match for Sun Bone of the 9 heavens of the Azure province. And because he had fought Sun Bone before, he knew how strong he was. Meng Lu, you have so little confidence in me? Although Sun Bone is one of the 9 heavens of the Azure province, I am very curious about his strength. I want to see how strong he is. So, let's fight. However, just as Meng Lu's voice fell, Lin Ling spoke. His words stunned Meng Lu. Lin Ling was the strongest exceptional talent not long ago. He was still some distance away from the 9 heavens of the Azure province. Yet, 2 years later, he dared to fight Sun Bone. Even Sun Bone's pupils shrank. He seemed to think he had misheard. He hurriedly asked, Lin Ling, are you serious? Sun Bone frowned and asked. Do you think I'm a coward like you? Fight you like a dog. Lin Ling slowly walked forward, his blue robe fluttering in the wind. Fight you like a dog. His voice was filled with battle intent. It rumbled like a war drum. Everyone was shocked. Lin Ling was only at the true immortal realm, but Sun Bone was one of the 9 heavens of the Azure province. He was at the 2nd level of the martial immortal realm and had even defeated a 4th level martial immortal. Yet, Lin Ling dared to fight? Sun Bone's expression was extremely ugly. Lin Ling was about to die, yet he dared to call him a coward. However, Lin Ling dared to fight. This was exactly what he wanted. Lin Ling, oh Lin Ling. You will regret your choice. Do you think I'm afraid of you because of your strength? I'm only afraid of the big shot behind you. Come and fight. Sun Bone leapt up. Surging realm essence roared out. The fire was burning. The sky turned golden and was filled with golden flames. This was his innate talent. It was a 7th grade divine body, the burning moon heavenly flame. Lin Ling, go to hell. The surging boundary essence transformed into a palm and rushed towards Lin Ling, causing Lin Ling's eyes to be filled with a gigantic palm that blotted out the sky and earth. The world also disappeared. Sun Bone battle Lin Ling, he's actually using all of his power. Meng Lu's expression was grave as he looked at the blazing palm in the sky. Even now, he still didn't know why Lin Ling had chosen this battle. You are not qualified. Lin Ling raised his head to look at the sky. With a loud roar, he activated the demonic flame change to the heaven and earth change. Multicolored flames soared into the sky, causing him to disappear into the sea of fire. Everyone looked at Lin Ling in astonishment. Was he still human? He was completely a flame god. However, although Lin Ling was powerful, no one thought that he was a match for Sun Bone. Sun Bone was a level 2 martial immortal. He couldn't be underestimated. Rumble. Within the multicolored flames, rumbling sounds could be heard. Then, a fist exploded and shot towards the sky like a meteor. As the fist and palm approached from afar, they were as huge as mountains. Before they even collided, the entire Azure Dragon Divine Manor collapsed, and the tiles fluttered in the air like fallen leaves. When the fist and palm collided, a terrifying power erupted. That power was so strong that no one below the martial immortal realm could resist it. Golden flames and multicolored flames clashed crazily. The crowd's breathing quickened. Lin Ling was defeated in one move. Bang! However, in the next moment, 2 rumbling sounds could be heard. Because 2 figures were sent flying out of the flames, reaching a distance of 1,000 miles. Impossible. You're just a true immortal realm cultivator. How could you block my palm? Soon, a shocked voice drifted out. The Sun Bone was roaring, and its golden hair was a little messy. In the previous collision, he didn't gain any advantage. He felt like he was dreaming. What? Everyone was also looking at the sky, their expressions extremely solemn. Sun Bone was evenly matched with Lin Ling. One should know that Sun Bone was a level 2 martial immortal realm cultivator. Not to mention other things, if it were an ordinary level 2 martial immortal realm cultivator, 90% of them wouldn't be a match for him. However, Lin Ling, who was a true immortal realm cultivator, was unharmed. A frog at the bottom of a well. On the other side, Lin Ling sneered. Now that he had activated the evil flame change to the limit and combined the two dantians, his world essence was not much weaker than a level 2 martial immortal realm cultivator. He had tested this many times in the Crimson Province. Then, without waiting for Sun Bone to say anything, Lin Ling activated the speed of 11 worlds and appeared in front of Sun Bone. Moreover, he didn't use any martial arts. He relied on his enormous world essence to suppress Sun Bone. At this moment, Sun Bone didn't seem to react. He didn't expect Lin Ling to be so fast. Boom! With one punch, Sun Bone's cheek was fiercely punched and he spat out a mouthful of blood. After he anxiously blocked, he couldn't stop Lin Ling's fierce attack. Sun Bone, you're finished. In the past, when I first fought with the Grand Court Commandery, I spared you once. However, you went back on your words and tried to assassinate me, Lin Ling. When I fought with the Grand Court Commandery for the second time, I thought that it would be enough to catch the murderer. However, the people of your commandery insulted me. Therefore, I destroyed your commandery. This is what the Grand Court Commandery asked for. Lin Ling's voice was like thunder. Each punch was stronger than the last. His fists could easily destroy 10 worlds. Sun Bone was beaten back continuously. He roared and was furious. He didn't expect that he would be suppressed by Lin Ling. However, I destroyed your Grand Court Commandery and you dare to destroy my rainforest holy land. Do you want to die? Don't you know that your actions have completely infuriated me? You have no way out. Even if Emperor Qing is here, no one can stop me from killing you. Rumble. The terrifying flaming fist smashed Sun Bone into the ground. The entire ground exploded and flames soared into the sky. Even the four-ring city was shaken. So fierce. He's being suppressed by the 9 heavens of Qingzhou. The surrounding people gasped. Could it be that Lin Ling had the strength to become one of the 9 heavens of Qingzhou? The Azure Dragon King was also stunned. The scene in front of him was completely different from what he had imagined. He had thought that the one being suppressed should be Lin Ling. He's still so mysterious. His cultivation is at the true God realm, but his world essence is boundless. It's not weaker than a martial immortal. Who exactly is this Lin Ling? Meng Lu said in shock. He came from the 10 evils of 9 provinces and was proficient in various mysterious martial arts. However, he couldn't see through Lin Ling at all. Moreover, he had always wanted to become one of the 9 heavens of Qingzhou. However, Lin Ling had stepped into this realm faster than him. Geniuses could fight above their level. However, when a genius met a genius, fighting above their level was just wishful thinking. However, Lin Ling was still able to fight above his level when facing a genius of the heavens realm. Boom! You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.